Yeah, good morning, guys. That's right. So this morning, sentencing is scheduled for 9:30 Eastern time for those 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. But Judge Juan Merchan has indicated he will not give Trump jail time, fines, or probation. The incoming president tried to stop this sentencing from moving forward, but the Supreme Court denied that request.
I thought it was a fair decision, actually. So I'll do my little thing tomorrow. They can have fun with their political opponent. As you know, they acknowledge what the judge said about no penalty, and there's no penalty. But we're going to appeal anyway, just psychologically, because, frankly, it's a disgrace. It's a judge that shouldn't have been on the case. He's a highly conflicted judge.
Now, separately, in another case, a source close to Trump's legal team tells me that a new judge was assigned to the president-elect's civil fraud case brought by New York Attorney General Letitia James, seemingly replacing Judge Arthur Engoron. But several hours after attorneys on the case received an email announcing that decision, they got another message saying Engoron was actually reassigned to the case. Trump has also appealed the $454 million judgment there. That appeal is pending before the New York Appeals Court.
Profile, hot takes blowing up, no dial. Viewers tuned in, click until they smile. Naysay whispers vanish in a blaze. Tweets and memes, everybody's amazed. Pulse of the net, driven by the haze. Take grip tight, striding on this phase. Benny's mic, Tate's pushing the gate.
Can we just keep the song going? Can we just keep it? What is it? We can just keep it going. Through the whole show. Can we just put a bed of music through the whole show? I want to hear the whole banger. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live today to bring you truth. Our mission and our goal on this program is to bring you the truth about what is actually going on throughout the world. Lawfare that is attacking some of the greatest forces for good and freedom. Free speech. Speech you might not even agree with. That's the point of free speech. On this show, that is what we stand for, and we stand for it unabashedly, strongly, muscularly, and happily. We are joyous warriors in this fight. And ladies and gentlemen, President Trump is speaking to the court right now in New York. We even have a photo for you here. We're going to have a freewheeling show. It's going to be wild today. I don't know how long we're going to be live today. It might be 10 hours. Not sure. I hope you are locked in like we are. Today, Friday, January 10th, 2025, Donald Trump speaking live right now. You can pop it back up, Killer Klein. It looks good. Ooh, look at that photo. This is amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not have live audio and recording. We will get it as soon as we get the recordings. We will play them for you. Look at Trump right there. He's on video right now. This is from seconds ago. Now, we don't have access to any live feed. We have no access. No one does. To anything that's happening currently. We're just getting like a single photo from the courthouse. You can see Trump there with Todd Blanche, who's going to be very high up in the DOJ, who's been defending him here. Trump is speaking. So we're going to get Trump talking to the court in just a moment. They're going to release all of the transcripts and the recordings after Trump is sentenced. But he's being sentenced for these bullshit charges right now, ladies and gentlemen. It's happening right now in the courthouse in New York. It should make your blood boil. President Trump is 10 days away from being sworn in as the chief executive officer of the United States, the embodiment, the persona of the executive branch in a single man, the most powerful position in world history. And yet he is having to be dragged into a rat-filled, dingy, third world court to go listen to Juan Merchan, who's conflicted out, whose daughter has made a fortune off of putting Trump in jail, and daddy is going to make sure that he does his best today, but it could backfire. And it already is, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk all about it. Also, suspect arrested for arson in Los Angeles, and now the LAPD, amazing, who was right on this topic. Boy, we got tons of hate yesterday, and some community notes for saying these fires are intentional, and lo and behold, now the LAPD is arresting the arsonists. There's a lot of arson going on right now. Arson against our president, quite frankly. Arson against our judicial system. And we have some incredible guests. I don't think there is a single, humbly, I don't think there is a better show today for you to be tuned in and locked into, because we are going to roll it all out. President Trump being sentenced right now makes our blood boil. Joining us live today, we will have the great Mike Davis. We will have the great Alina Habba. We will have the great and spectacular Julie Kelly. We will have Mike Cernovich, who's just like galaxy brain on this stuff. So good. And ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Tate joining the show. Andrew Tate, a man who we've followed for a long time, who has a profound and serious voice in culture. And we're proud to defend his free speech and his also exoneration from charges that have been brought by the state for nothing, which is now demonstrable, which is now proven, ladies and gentlemen. This show is going to be wall to wall, and we are very, very excited about it. We are thankful for you. We love this audience. We love the chat. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Let's lock in, baby. Let's lock in. Real quick question. For Killer Klein and ALX, do we have new emojis? Do we have new emojis for the chat? Because you may want to be using these emojis today. I know we got quite a bit. I know we have a Cash Patel rolled out, but let me know. If not, then we're going to roll out the emojis today. Ladies and gentlemen, we have brand new emojis that are going to be rolling out in the chat, and so get ready. Get ready. The only show that locks in so hard with the chat, with you, ladies and gentlemen, and the reason why we do that is because we are you. Because I am just a dude who went to community college. I don't have some credential over you. I am just a dad who's like grinding out in this world. And so I care. I also freak out when I see my grocery bill, just like you do. And I'm pissed off at the certain at the forces that are trying to destroy this country and wreck this country for my children. America first means my American children first. And that's what we're going to talk about today. The reestablishment of reality and order. The destruction of wokeness. And, ladies and gentlemen, some major developments that are positive throughout the world. I want to jump back to this image of President Trump right now. Here's Donald Trump in the courthouse. This is all that we have at the current moment. You can see Fox News live here. We're going to navigate on over and show you that the what is happening right now is that Juan Merchan, so here's Fox Live. What's happening right now is that Juan Merchan is effectively getting an opportunity to sit there with his little hammer and to skull Donald Trump for being such a bad meanie head. Dude, Juan Merchan better lawyer up himself. I'm telling you, man, this dude is so unbelievably corrupt. We're gonna show you the receipts, actually. Julie Kelly has the receipts. Julie Kelly will be joining the show. We're gonna work on, exposing Juan Merchan. Because now the hunters become the hunted in all of this. There is no opportunity for us to bring you the audio of this live right now. But there will be soon, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to rip this audio, and we're going to play for you the persecution and the sentencing of President Trump. Juan Merchan has said that he will not be sentencing Donald Trump to jail, even though in his order, he said, I have every right to put Donald Trump in prison for 4 years of these charges. I have every right to rob the... There it is. Okay. Let's tune in here real quickly, shall we? Let's go ahead and listen.
Heard the same question asked from the defense and the prosecution with different rulings. So if Juan Merchan says that he did this like he did every other case,
so this is what we've already heard and what we already know.
The rulings were different depending
enough with enough with Ellen DeGeneres crying there on Fox News. No prison, no probation, no conditions is what they're doing for Donald Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to cut on over to an interesting post here from, of all people, Dr. Phil. Now, I've become a Dr. Phil fan since we were there in the Madison Square Garden Arena, and Dr. Phil came roaring onto the stage to endorse Donald Trump, which I thought was just totally kick-ass. Dr. Phil posting something, I think that's really sharp yesterday, that sort of breaks down a massive and potential critical mistake that's being made right now, and the left just can't help themselves This is the nature of evil. It always goes too far, and then it always gets destroyed in the end. Let's read here really quickly from the legal insights of Dr. Phil. In less than 2 weeks, Donald Trump will take the oath of office to become America's 47th president, but in 24 hours, he'll be a convicted felon. But before the pundits and the far left start gloating, and the far right starts raging, let me put everything into perspective on this very weird ruling from New York. New York Supreme Court Justice Juan Merchan, a name that everybody now knows, is going to sentence Donald Trump for 34 felony counts, and he's doing that live right now. Again, we will play you the audio of that as soon as we get it. We cannot get it, and we only have a single image from this sentencing right now. We'll play it for you as soon as it is publicly available. It will be live on this program. Stay with me here. Judge Juan Merchan announced that tomorrow he will not put Trump in jail or probation or even fine him. Neither will he dismiss the trumped-up case. He will impose a sentence of unconditional discharge. What is unconditional discharge? Under New York Penal Code 6520, when the court imposes a sentence of unconditional discharge, the defendant shall be released with respect to the conviction, for which the sentence is imposed without imprisonment, fine, or probation supervision. The sentence of unconditional discharge is for all purposes a final judgment of conviction. So, as we have said on this program many, many times, they are like rabid beasts, lemmings, running over the cliff, and the cliff is call Trump a felon. I don't know why they are so bloodthirsty for this, but they cannot call Trump a felon unless he is sentenced. The way that it worked in all courts throughout the land is that a judge must sentence you and punish you, whatever that punishment may be. Punishment may be an apology. It may be sending a tweet. The punishment may be your life in prison. But you are not a felon unless you are punished and sentenced by a court. That is how it works. So you keep screaming at the moon, rending their garments, convicted felon, convicted felon. He's not a convicted felon. Donald Trump is a convicted felon right now as we speak. Until Juan Merchan hands down this order, nothing. Now get a load of this. This is very interesting. Final. At the trial court level is a conviction Merchan seems desperate to assign to President Trump. So he's labeled a felon. But in his zeal, he may have handed the president-elect a golden ticket. If Merchan had simply dismissed the case, then Trump would have no right to appeal. The case would have just been forever hanging over Donald Trump. Donald Trump would just have to live with this massive weight on him that says, this trial went on, I had to do all this excruciating stuff. It was dismissed, but it's still all there, right? I was never exonerated. I went through all this hell, and then it just kind of sits there as a black mark. Now, who the hell cares? But that's what would have happened in a dismissal. Now that he's a convicted felon, Trump can appeal. So now that Trump's been sentenced, he can, boom, appeal it. Many legal experts, most legal experts, say that Trump will win demonstrably on appeal. I'm no lawyer. I don't mean to brag, but Dr. Phil saying that if Donald Trump is convicted, then he has an opportunity to appeal and then appeal successfully. Legal experts say that he will win, he will go free, and then Donald Trump will be able to do that thing. Can a producer get me that great photo of Donald Trump with the acquitted newspaper? It was a Washington Post. It was President Trump standing in the White House, and he holds up the acquitted newspaper, and he says, "Come get ya, boy." Donald Trump will get an opportunity to do that. Donald Trump will get an opportunity to hold up that paper because the libs, so ravenously and frothing at the mouth, can't help themselves and must call him a convicted felon. I don't know why. We saw yesterday Barack Obama sitting there like bros, chilling with Trump, laughing, and they had some secret meeting that they did. It's crazy. We'll get to that. But this is like Barack Obama, the guy who's like calling Trump literal Hitler a couple of weeks ago. And now he's like Trump's best friend because they know that it was all garbage in the first place. They know what they were doing. It's called the wrap-up smear. It's a tactic that we talk about all the time in this program. Oh, those are good. Oh, those are great. I love the one where he's holding it up high. This is what they're giving Trump a chance to do right here. In their ravenous, rabies-laden, frothing at the mouth, blood streaming from their eyes, out of their whatever, right? As they say. They're going to give Trump an opportunity to do this again. Acquitted. Trump acquitted. So that's what's actually happening. That's kind of the chess that's going on here. It's very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Is it a mistake? We're not certain. Unconditional discharge. No prison, no probation, no conditions, ladies and gentlemen. So now we are still in the midst of, let's pop on over to Fox News here. I want to see like what exactly are they showing? Okay, so they just have sort of like the courthouse cameras here. We're obviously not going to miss a single second. We have ours humbly, the greatest production team that exists on the internet, on, live, and locked in. We won't miss it. They're going to release. Now, this is what is also will show you how rigged this entire process is. Then I want to get to the Supreme Court and how angry I am at the Supreme Court for what they've done to President Trump here. Amy Coney Barrett, specifically, who continues to side with libs. It makes me very, very angry. But Donald Trump is allowed to appear digitally. So you remember this shot. This is where President Trump would go and would regularly stand there and give press conferences, right? With everybody standing behind him and flanked behind him. Some of the people that have been in the courthouse with President Trump will be joining our show today. Donald Trump allowed to join digitally. He's at Mar-a-Lago right now. You can see Trump here with Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche, again, is going to be serving high level at the DOJ. Donald Trump should have never been in the position to be sentenced because before the Supreme Court was a petition to say this is garbage. Ladies and gentlemen, the Supreme Court sided against Donald Trump. The ruling is insane. So it was Justice Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett. Julie Kelly is going to come on the program and I think take a flamethrower to Amy Coney Barrett. Amy Coney Barrett sided with the libs in saying that, no, this is just standard court procedure to charge a president. So Donald Trump saying, I'm going to be president in 10 days. And this court shouldn't have the right to charge me on this garbage, fake scam of a trial. And the conservative justices sided with the liberals and said, yeah, they can, because it's normal order. This is not normal order. Donald Trump will be vested as a single branch of government unto one man, which is the most powerful branch of government, the executive. It wasn't written that way originally in our Constitution, but it has become that. In 10 days. The ruling is insane. It's wrong. I read it. It made my blood boil. That makes me very angry. Something that, Amy Coney Barrett has sided with the liberal justices on multiple occasions, including occasions that involve January 6th defendants, free speech issues. There's a real problem with Amy Coney Barrett. We'll see if Donald Trump gets more Supreme Court picks. He might. He just may. Donald Trump, however, as we have been sort of investigating and chatting with various senators and people close in his orbit, is in great spirits right now and is feeling lighter than air. President Trump is laughing and joking and building bridges. We saw this yesterday with Barack Obama. President Trump yesterday had a massive meeting at Mar-a-Lago after spending the day at Jimmy Carter's funeral, apparently meeting with Barack Obama. The two of them were rolling like they were at a townie bar, bros catching up over beers. I think it's a good thing. I said so myself. I think it's great. This is President Trump in bridge building, and you must have coalitions to win in sort of an atomized and decentralized society with zero trust that we live in right now. You want to regain that trust? Bring sides together. Very good. John Fetterman went to Mar-a-Lago last night. John Fetterman was in Mar-a-Lago last night, along with every Republican governor. And we have some great takeaways that we haven't been able to cover on the show. And so since we don't have the audio from the sentencing yet, and we have no breaking news out of this sentencing yet, other than what we already know, which is a sentence of unconditional discharge. No prison, no probation, no conditions that Donald Trump can appeal and win. Then, ladies and gentlemen, let's pop on over to what President Trump said last night about his sentencing. Donald Trump asked last night at a little round table that he did with the press about the sentencing that he's going to be sitting in right now, that he's currently at. His answer will probably make you chuckle. Here we go.
The Supreme Court ruled that they are not going to slow down the sentencing. It's on for tomorrow. Now what?
Well, they called for an appeal, and as you know, they acknowledged what the judge said about no penalty, and there's no penalty. But we're going to appeal anyway, just psychologically, because, frankly, it's a disgrace. It's a judge that shouldn't have been on the case. He's a highly conflicted judge, and they called for an appeal. So I read it, and I thought it was a fair decision, actually. So I'll do my little thing tomorrow. They can have fun with their political opponent. As you know, I'm under a gag order from a judge. This is a first. This was an attack of a political opponent. And if you take a look at it, I'm not supposed to be talking about it, so I won't. I'm the first president and probably one of the first candidates in history that's under attack with a gag order, where I'm not allowed to speak about something. And they ought to find out what that's all about. And this is a long way from finished. And I respect the court's opinion. I think it was actually a very good opinion for us because you saw what they said. But they invited the appeal, and the appeal is on the bigger issue. So we'll see how it all works out. I think it's going to work out well.
I'm about to have 4 kids, okay? So my wife is 9 months pregnant. We could have a baby at any time. You have a baby live during the show. Unfortunately, I don't want to jinx it, okay? But it is that time, right? If women, ladies, men, if you've had kids, you feel me, it is what it is. Last night, my son has a fever, you're up all night. I'm telling you, I sometimes I'm dragging myself out of bed, right? It is what it is with life, with 4 little kids. And Donald Trump looks way better than me. Let's just call it out. Trump looks so refreshed and so healthy. And he spent all day with Barack Obama. You see here, he spent all day, we're going to get to this in just a second, but at this funeral where he's having to face down the goblins that actually did this to him, Trump's sitting here having to sit face to face with the orcs that are actually coming for his family, that raided his home, that raided his wife's boudoir, that sent federal agents into his son's room, that tried to lock him up for 479 years in prison, the rest of his life, bankrupt him, threw his supporters in prison. And this guy is magnanimous enough and chill enough to not only face down evil, but to bring it to heel. And then he heads down the same day. He heads down to Mar-a-Lago. Apparently, the lip reader saying that what Trump is saying to Barack Obama in this moment is that they need to meet on a matter of great importance. That there are some treaties or some type of agreement that is wrong. Trump's going to pull out of that agreement, and that it's time to have unity and a centralized American power. It's very interesting what the lip readers were able to get out of this. So we covered this live on the show yesterday. We didn't have sort of the professional lip readers. Very interesting stuff. Trump's able to do all of that and then comes in hot talking about the Supreme Court and these decisions, how good they are for him, how he's going to appeal, how he's going to do his little thing in the morning. He's still actively doing it. I just don't... Talk about being built for battle. That's all I'm saying. Being built for battle. I am a believer that God gives people specific gifts and that you are able to really flourish when you find the gifts that God gives you. It's all different for all of us. But you know it when you kick in the door and the doors swing open and you start actually delivering action. And all life is a state of action and taking steps. You begin to get blessed and you begin to actually find your flow state. Trump's in his flow state right now, man. He says that this judge is biased against him. Here's a receipt, ladies and gentlemen, put up by Julie Kelly just moments ago. Just a reminder that Juan Merchan's daughter, Lauren Merchan, this is of course the judge that is currently scolding Trump in the courtroom right now, still ongoing, is the co-owner of a very lucrative Democrat consulting firm. Here's a list of clients' receipts coming. Wow, would you look at that? Some of our absolute favorites. Kamala Harris, Katie Hobbs, Cory Booker, Adam Schiff, pretty much the entire Democrat Senate. Oh, yeah. Brennan Center for Justice, John Brennan, Ilhan Omar, Gretchen Whitmer, Kathy Hochul, Phil Murphy. She makes millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't know what the receipts are. But ladies and gentlemen, she makes millions upon millions of dollars by promising her clients that she will put Trump in prison. And then guess what daddy gets to do? Put Trump in prison, right? Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Let's jump on over to Donald Trump speaking last night. Oh, that's such a great photo. I just freaking love it. Pop it up. This is just a reminder, the courthouse scenes, right? And you see so many homies of the show right there in that image. So many of our friends. Alina, Corey Mills, Byron Donalds, Vivek. You got Eric Trump. They've all been on the program, ladies and gentlemen. And, listen, we like Doug Burgum, you know? It's like we like Doug Burgum. You know, he hadn't been on the show. But as soon as his team can figure out StreamYard, we'll get him. All right? We'll get him. Ladies and gentlemen, last night, Jack Smith, Donald Trump going off. Okay, here we go. From last night, the man who clearly got raided by the FBI because he's clearly, Mar-a-Lago is built on the Fountain of Youth, I think. They actually went to Florida to go find the Fountain of Youth, the Spanish explorers. I think it was at Mar-a-Lago the whole time. It's the only explanation for Donald Trump looking like this at like 9 p.m. at night after an entire day having to like suffer sitting in the same row as Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, and Laura Bush. Could you imagine? All right, here we go.
We beat Jack Smith. He's back, I hope, at The Hague, but I don't think he should be there either. He puts people in very bad positions, like giving people death penalties. I will tell you, Jack, he is a disgrace. We won all of those cases. We won most of the other cases, or they're limping along. We've had a lot of lawfare. These are all people that understand what's going on here very badly. This was an attack on the Republican Party. This was an attack on the Republican candidate who just won an election by record numbers, the highest number of Republican votes by far ever gotten. And we won all swing states, 7 swing states. We won the popular vote by millions of people. And that was the real vote. And I said it a long time ago, the real vote is that. And they tried to stop that from happening. They tried to stop this election from happening, or to bloody somebody up so badly they couldn't win. And the people got it. And again, we won by the largest number. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. It was conclusive. It was a massive, they say, the most consequential election in 129 years. And these people, the people know everything that you're asking. They've been studying this for 2 years as it went along. And hopefully it'll never happen again, an attack on a political opponent. So Peter will be appealing the decision. They're asking for an appeal. And that's on the fact, on what's going to happen.
So Donald Trump is, as has been reported to our show by members of Congress and members of the Senate, people who've been meeting with him, Donald Trump is locked in and ready to fight. He's in great spirits. And ladies and gentlemen, my producers are telling me that audio from the courthouse will be incoming. Imminently, ladies and gentlemen. Imminently. Now, we've seen inside of this courthouse. And we've seen it before because Don Jr. showed us some. This is when the conviction was happening, right? Not the sentencing, but the conviction. The hours before the conviction, Don Jr. posted this funny clip, sort of like a throwback to what we've all been through. This was during the summer. Here we go.
Guys, I'm here with your favorite president. We're cranking out a couple mean tweets at the courthouse. Why don't you read that last one, because I think it's pretty
Well,
awesome.
I think I'm going to put it out instead of reading it, but I know my son's doing very well on social media. I'm proud of him.
Stay tuned. It'll be a doozy.
What a great dad, man. Could you imagine taking you could potentially be sentenced for the rest of your life into prison, right? Because the point here You're never going to convince me otherwise. The point was to put Donald Trump into prison and then to kill Donald Trump. God help us. God help us. Clearly that was the intention. Clearly this is what they wanted. All you have to do is go scroll through their tweets and see that this is what they wanted. They wanted the assassin's bullet to hit Trump. This was a form of assassination. They wanted to put Trump in prison and then work on a, Epstein-style thing. An Epstein-style night for President Trump, who's sitting there with, based on what I can see, what do you see there, Clay? I see Milk Duds and M&Ms, Whoppers, and Lay's, a pack of Lay's, and a giant Diet Coke. It might be a 2-liter of Diet Coke there for our president. Ladies and gentlemen, God is good, and we win, and we win through fighting, and fighting through attacks. We win as we have always won. And so it's been a long and arduous road. There have been some absolute bangers of defenses for the president in front of the courthouse. How cool is this? All of Trump's kids standing up and defending him. This is a somewhat longer clip, but I want to sort of remind you of what we've been through. This was the day of Donald Trump's conviction, and not only is Don Jr. posting these clips, but also his kids all stood up in the center of Manhattan, in the middle of the street, in the middle of the summer, with the press of the world and cameras pointed at them, and did such a great, full-throated, muscular defense of their father. What a tribute to a dad. This is it. Like, what? Have you been a good father or bad father? Do your kids want to hang out with you when they're old? Not when they're living under your roof, when they're old. What an incredible badge of honor for the president. That not only do his kids want to hang out with him, but his kids clearly love him and are willing to stand and defend him. Like this, ladies and gentlemen.
As an MVP, if there is a GOAT of liars, it is Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen is the embodiment of reasonable doubt. And this entire case hinges on someone who has quite literally lied to every single person and body he's ever been in front of. He's lied before, I believe it's every branch of Congress. He's lied before his wife. He's lied to every body he's ever been in front of. He's lied before, I believe it's every branch of Congress. He's lied before his wife. He's lied to bankers. He's lied to all of you in the press. And he's actually lied to that very jury. And yet, he's the only person of relevance that this entire case hinges on. We understand that this is a political persecution. That was evidenced today by the Biden campaign themselves holding a rally here. They bring in Robert De Niro, who was shot down, but apparently he needs attention because it's been a while since he's cranked out a good movie. But think about it. They bring out one actor. Remember in 2020 when every A-list actor in the world showed up for Joe Biden, they lined up one by one? Now they get one person. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson disavowed, said, hey, listen, I regret voting for him. Cardi B, all the people that lined up behind Joe Biden understand that he has failed our country. He has failed the citizens of this nation. Frankly, he has failed the world. But the fact that they're holding a rally across the seat from this very witch hunt, right across the street, tells us exactly what we all knew all along, that it is a political persecution. It is a witch hunt. There is a reason one of the people sitting at that desk was the number 3 person in Joe Biden's DOJ. I know my father is not allowed to say Matthew Colangelo in his name, right? Because he's been gagged. The President of the United States is not allowed to exercise his First Amendment rights in New York City in this day and age. Does that not tell us all everything we need to know about what we're witnessing? It's a witch hunt they're using as a political fundraiser, just like this very judge's daughter has profited from this very case.
Yes.
It is an insanity. It is an embarrassment. It's an abomination to democracy and to our republic. And yet it continues. Everyone in this case is conflicted, and it hinges on one man who's not just a liar, convicted, someone who's lost his law license, has been disbarred, someone who's served jail time for lying before congressional bodies. And that's it. That's where we are today in America. This is a sham. It's insane, and it needs to stop, because if you think for 1 second that this ends with Donald Trump, you have not been watching what's going on in the Democrat Party in the last few years. They want power at any and all costs. Your rights be damned. That can't stand. That can't happen. This sham prosecution, this insanity, this abomination has to stop now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting audio. We are going to be getting audio in moments from the actual case. Okay, we're going to be getting the courtroom audio from the actual case in moments. Okay. Yes, ladies and yes. Producers, lock in. I mean, this is a breaking news environment. We've been waiting for the audio from the court. This is Donald Trump Jr. defending his father out front of the court. Ladies and gentlemen, and as we load up the audio from the court, we're getting it right now.
I have the statement from Fox right now.
Good?
Yeah, it's airing now.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's cut on over. This is going to be Fox News Live. We're going to hear President Trump and a statement to Fox News. Let's listen.
You have So Dana, I told you a moment ago that I reached out to the president-elect to see if he had anything to say in the wake of the sentencing, and he just got back to me with this statement, quote, "The radical Democrats have lost another pathetic, un-American witch hunt after spending tens of millions of dollars, wasting over 6 years of obsessive work that should have been spent on protecting New Yorkers from violent, rampant crime that is destroying the city and state, coordinating with the Biden-Harris Department of Injustice and lawless weaponization, and bringing completely baseless, illegal, and fake charges against your 45th and 47th president, me. I was given an unconditional discharge. That result alone proves that, as all legal scholars and experts have said, there is no case, there was never a case, and this whole scam fully deserves to be dismissed. The real jury, the American people, have spoken by re-electing me with an overwhelming mandate in one of the most consequential elections in history, as the American people have seen this, quote, case, close quote, at no crime, no damages, no proof, no facts, no law, only a highly conflicted judge, a star witness who is disbarred, disgraced, serial perjurer, and criminal election interference. Today's event was a despicable charade, and now that it is over, we will appeal this hoax, which has no merit, and restore the trust of Americans in our once great system of justice. Make America great again. So that is a statement from the incoming president.
Here we go. Donald Trump putting this up on Truth. You are in, ladies and gentlemen, you are in the right spot for the breaking news today. You are in the right spot for the breaking news today. We will have Trump's lawyers joining us. We'll have Alina Habba joining us, Mike Davis, Julie Kelly, Mike Cernovich, Andrew Tate to talk about government persecution on charges that are fake. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to lock in. You have breaking news across the political ecosystem in the global world right now that's changing everything. This is the last dying gasp of a regime. They wanted to get one thing over the finish line. 7 cases against Trump. 7. And they all collapsed. This was their last hope. This was the weakest case. This was a case that was a misdemeanor by every conceivable charging statute in the New York Code of Conduct and legal jurisdiction. This was a misdemeanor that they sent Matthew Colangelo from the DOJ into Alvin Bragg's office because Alvin Bragg is too low IQ, too dumb as a box of rocks, a literal human potato hybrid, Alvin Bragg, who's too busy schlepping and spilling his Dunkin' Donuts down the front of his shirt to actually charge this. So Merrick Garland goes and sends a human Scud missile, Matthew Colangelo, into his office to bootstrap a misdemeanor into a felony. And that's what you're seeing right now, ladies and gentlemen. Here's Trump's post on Truth Social. You heard this pretty much. You heard this pretty much perfectly read to you right there via Fox. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have courtroom audio. Here we go.
11/33/2021.
This is the audio.
Turning to the matter of sentencing, I want to confirm that the people and defense counsel have both received copies of the probation report. You have not.
Thank you.
Let the record reflect that the people are being handed a copy now. Mr. Bogey's being handed a copy. Why don't you take some time and look at it, okay?
Thank you.
This is the audio.
And this was the portion of the court proceeding where they were reviewing documents. Who said they were looking over the probation document, and the lawyers for Trump were saying basically it's fine. There was like one thing wrong with it, like a date, but they said, but since they knew they weren't going to get the punishment, they just went forward.
Is there anything about that report
neutral arbiter sort of for the court between the prosecution and the defendant, who tries to kind of marshal the different disputes and come up with a fair sentence?
Let's listen back in.
Given what we expect is happening today, nothing.
Okay, thank you.
You are hearing live with me. This is all live. The first opportunity to actually lock in with this audio. A lot of paper shuffling.
All right, so
okay. All right. So hold on. So my producer is telling me
courtroom proceedings.
Cut. My producer is telling me that right now Fox isn't prepared, and they're not in a position to actually play through the audio. My producers are ravenously ripping through the audio, and we will get you. We want to hear Trump's portion. We want to hear Merchan's little lecture. We're going to actually clip and get you, and we're going to boost the audio. The audio is like terrible on that. We want to make sure that you can hear it live. Fox is in the same position I'm in. This is all live. Everyone's been handed the audio, so now producers go hunt. All right? We're going to get you. I want to hear Trump's commentary to the court. I want that first, as fast as we can possibly get it. Grab me that. It's a lot of dead air, a lot of gasps, a lot of shuffling paperwork, and I don't want to waste your time. Okay? So again, it's a breaking news environment. I have to do something, though, because I can't. This is my last time to probably play this. I can play it every single day, but it's my last time to play it with appropriateness to the news cycle. Robert De Niro, who wears lifts the size of a painter's bucket on his shoes. He's a teeny little, angry little man who, again, hasn't had a hit movie in 3 decades. Robert De Niro was name dropped by Don Jr. in the clip we just played. My producers went down and hunted that. I said, find me that pathetic little crying speech. Robert De Niro like crying tears about Donald Trump in New York. It's like sobbing. Tough guy Robert De Niro breaking down in tears. Find me that, because we got to do Assault That Lip. And so while we wait for the Trump audio, we're getting it. Trust me, and we'll be faster than anybody. While we wait for the Trump audio to be delivered to you, and we'll make sure we crank the audio and you can hear it. We'll get it as best as we possibly can. Why not Salt That Lip for Robert De Niro? Why not go back into the golden oldies and find Robert De Niro with his lifts? Can you get me the photo of Robert De Niro wearing those lifts? Oh yeah, it's really funny. Robert De Niro sobbing on the streets of New York about Orange Man bad. This is our Salt That Lib. We'll probably only get one today. Maybe more, but we'll probably only get one today. Here's Robert De Niro. He's probably wearing these shoes at the time. There it is. Perfect. That one is so good. Here, you don't see this in the shot. Here's Robert De Niro wearing his real tough guy. Robert De Niro sobbing and crying on TV about Ronald Grump on how Orange Man bad. You remember Orange Man bad. Orange Man he's so Hitler that that Barack Obama's literally giving him hugs, laughing with him, and begging him to stay out of jail. Here we go. Assault That Lib. The Assault That Lib for the ages. Let's go.
I love this city. I don't want to destroy it. Donald Trump wants to destroy not only the city, but the country, and eventually he could destroy the world. I don't mean to scare you. No, wait, maybe I do mean to scare you. If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss these freedoms goodbye that we all take for granted. And elections, forget about it. Do we want him running this country and saying, I'm not leaving, I'm dictator for life? The only way to preserve our freedoms and hold on to our humanity is to vote for Joe Biden for president. We're trying to be gentlemen in this world. The Democrats, you are gangsters.
Excuse me.
You are gangsters. You're washed up.
Oh, ALX. Maybe we'll need it. Maybe we won't. Oh, that's so good, Jerry. Pop that one up. Maybe we'll need it. Maybe we won't. But you got to get me that full interaction where Trump supporters were trolling De Niro in the street. Something you didn't see because the cameras didn't pan down. Let's pan on down. Let's show them, Klein. If they were just to pan down, you would have seen Robert De Niro in his high heels. Just give him a pair of kitten heels. Well, he and Nancy Pelosi wear the exact same shoes. Look at this. Look at. I know it's for a movie. It's still funny because he's so short and he plays this tough guy, and he's not a tough guy. He's an embarrassment. He's a humiliation. He's crying. Donald Trump, there won't be any more elections. There won't be. Donald Trump incited an erection. I haven't had one of those in 10 years. Oh, man. It's been really funny, and there's been so much news, we haven't been able to get to all of it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're still waiting on the Donald Trump audio. It's being released live, so you have to actually wait for the moment. There's all this paper shuffling that's going on right now, my producers are telling me. You have that meme loaded? It's kind of funny. Why not? You guys want to do me? Thank you for salting the lib. If you're new here, what we do is we do assault that lib every day, and the libs that are crying, salty tears, we're so kind to them, we actually give them the sodium back that they've lost through their tears by salting them on the show. Okay, so that's what we do. That's why I have a giant salt shaker sitting here. Practical. Whoa! This is how much salt we need, actually. Look at this. Salt shaker empty. I gotta fill the salt. We fill the salt, okay? It's gotta work with my props here. Here's Jerry, who's our in-house meme maker, decided to resurface a Robert De Niro meme just for fun. So why not? Here we go.
You like to see that again? It's hard to catch the first time. Did you get it?
It really works great. Oh man, it really works good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my producers are ravenous and are hunting. They're going to get all of the audio. Again, we just tuned in live to Fox News. Fox News is like, I don't know, we're not sure. It's just a bunch of paper shuffling as of now that's been released. So again, we will have it for you, and we will have it first, ladies and gentlemen. The audio has been released of President Trump in the courthouse. Donald Trump gave a speech to the court, which is going to be awesome. So we'll have it locked in for you, ladies and gentlemen. Here's Robert De Niro losing his mind. I forgot that he got roasted in the streets of New York, which is so funny, and had a meltdown on people. Here we go.
Democrats, you are gangsters. You are gangsters. You're washed up. Fuck you.
You're a little punk. You're a softy. You're a nobody. Your movies suck. You're trash. You're trash. You're done. You're done after this, guys. You're done.
I love New York. You gotta love New York. Was there one other meltdown here? We weren't planning on doing this today, but why not? It's fun, and these are some of the legendary moments that we've all lived through. Here's another De Niro meltdown. Remember, this is the big tough guy that has to wear stilts. Here we go.
I mean, this is really, even these people over here are kind of, it's kind of crazy. It's really crazy, and this thing, Donald Trump has created this. He should be telling them not to do this, but he's just.
Remember remember when Robert De Niro got up at that award ceremony and dropped a massive F-bomb? We'll do our very best to not curse on the show, okay? We want to do a family show. We know people listen to it around their kids. That's good. Remember, Robert De Niro stood up and said F Trump, but he literally did it live at an award show. It was the Tonys, and De Niro gets up and goes F Trump and says that, and then he just stands here in his little stilts. And now he's complaining that people are treating him badly. Where's the civility from the guy who stood up at the Tonys and said F Trump? Yeah, okay. Here's a live shot of Robert De Niro right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we were able to get this leaked. This was leaked to us by a source deep in Mar-a-Lago. Ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we are still waiting for the Donald Trump audio from the courthouse. We are waiting for President Trump's audio from inside of the court. I can't think of anybody better to join us while we await President Trump's speech to the courthouse in Manhattan than Mike Davis. Mike Davis, who has defended President Trump in every conceivable arena, has done so on our show time and time again. My producer's telling me there is no Trump audio that has been released yet. And saying that it might be some time because it's just a ton of paper shuffling and just random white noise. So okay. Well, it is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, nobody better than Mike Davis to join the program to talk about this current moment. Mike Davis is in the middle, and I'm going to preface this, is in the middle of some very important work in the Senate, which I don't know if he can or cannot talk about. But Mike Davis is taking a break from that work to join our program because he loves you so much. So give lots of love to Mike Davis to talk about this absolute dumpster fire of a case and what the president just went through. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The Great Viceroy, live now. What up, Mike? How are you doing, dude?
I'm doing okay, Ben. I think I'm ready to cause controversy on your show again today. So the scribes, our biographers at Media Matters, should get ready.
Mike, we should actually possibly change this image. I don't know if you can pop this image up, Killer Klein. We should change this image to you spanking a Media Matters logo, right? Because this is actually technically what you keep these people employed, Mike, and so we're thankful for that. Somebody who's been employed is Juan Merchan's daughter, and we just read through her list of clients. And I'm wondering to myself, how in God's green earth does the party that talks about the justice system in the United States and the impartiality of it justify having a judge that is literally granting the loving wish of his daughter to put Trump in jail, and she's making millions, if not tens of hundreds of millions, off of the promise of putting Trump in jail? How is this not conflicted out? How is this even reality today, what we're watching, President Trump getting sentenced?
Well, when you import the third world, you become the third world. And that's exactly what we have with this third world Marxist trash judge, Juan Merchan, this Democrat Manhattan judge, this partisan, corrupt, dangerous judge. And like you said, Ben, I know you just had Julie Kelly on. When you have a judge in New York whose adult daughter, Lauren Merchan, is raising millions of dollars off of this unprecedented, bogus criminal prosecution her father is overseeing against the former and future president of the United States, along with this judge donating to Joe Biden and this judge's daughter, Lauren, on the payroll of Kamala Harris. This judge had to recuse under New York statute. And that's just not just mean Mike Davis saying that. A former Clinton judge went on Caitlin Collins' show on April 5th on CNN and said that Judge Merchan had to recuse because of his daughter Lauren Merchan's business interest that created a conflict of interest for him. How did this third world trash judge respond to President Trump's recusal motion? This third world Marxist trash judge said he was going to throw President Trump in prison if he mentioned his daughter, Lauren Michaud, in this conflict of interest again. And there are so many reversible errors in this case. And so I'm glad the Democrats had their cathartic sentencing today, because it is going to backfire and backfire spectacularly, because right now the Democrats think they're the hunters. And guess what? On January 20th at noon, they're going to become the hunted. And I'm going to make damn sure of that as a private citizen at the Article 3 Project, exercising my God-given right to speak and to lobby government. I'm going to make goddamn sure the Trump 47 Justice Department opens a criminal probe on these. I won't say this on your family-friendly TV show, but I'm going to make damn sure that happens. I'm going to make that my very public advocacy every day until Juan Merchan's ass is in prison.
Here we are, Mike, just the receipts, because it's important. You name dropped Kamala Harris, and up at the very tippy top, this is their website. It says Kamala Harris for president. This is Juan Merchan's daughter. This is her top client. The top client of the daughter of this judge is Kamala Harris. Matthew Colangelo, of course, moving, taking a massive demotion to go there and figure out for slob Alvin Bragg, who can barely juggle his Dunkin' Donuts, dribbling down the front of his suit, having to go down there and bootstrap this misdemeanor into a felony. This entire thing was a rig job by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to try and put Trump in prison for the rest of his life. And I personally believe what they wanted to do to President Trump was get him in jail and then Epstein him. That's this is my thought. They clearly celebrated the multiple assassination attempts against President Trump. This was their attempt to get rid of Trump forever. And now they're left with this. But I think they've protested too much. I think this is going to be the massive backfire, and that's the energy that I'm feeling. What say you, Mike?
Well, I would say this: the Article 3 project was not around in 2017 at the beginning of President Trump's first term. I started this thing after I won the Kavanaugh fight for President Trump, and guess what? I'm not a Chamber of Commerce. I'm not a FedSoc lawyer. I'm actually a savage street fighter. And guess what? I'm going to make sure that this Justice Department is filled with savage street fighters instead of the FedSoc cucks. And we're not going to turn the other cheek this time. So I hope these Democrat operatives understand that this is not these are not going to be the lawyers from the first time. These are not going to be the pussies at the FedSoc conferences. These are going to be savage warriors like Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche and Emma Bove and John Sauer and Harmeet Dillon, and so many others, Gail Slater, Aaron Wrights. There are going to be so many people in this Justice Department who are savages, and they're going to follow the law savagely.
Can you please walk me through what potential charges would be brought against Juan Merchan in this case? You say you want to throw his ass in prison. Walk me through the landscape there, Mike.
I want to throw his third world Marxist trash ass in prison and then revoke his citizenship and send him back to the Cali cartel or wherever the hell he came from in Colombia. And let me tell you what it is. It's 18 U.S.C. Section 241, conspiracy against rights, a very serious federal civil rights felony. And when you politicize and weaponize intel agencies and law enforcement to go after your political enemies for non-crimes, which is exactly what happened here, you have committed that very serious federal civil rights felony. And judges are not immune from 18 USC Section 241. So I would say to Juanito, or whatever the hell this judge's name is, this third world Marxist trash, that you better lawyer up, buddy, because there has to be a criminal probe. You are corrupt, you are partisan, you are dangerous. You took our country to the brink, and your adult daughter, Lauren Merchan, made a lot of money off this, and you sat on this case. There's a reason they picked you, because you are a stooge. You're just like Alvin Bragg and Tish James and Matthew Colangelo and Fannie Willis and Nathan Wade. You guys are just bottom of the barrel lawyers and judges, the dumbest people in the legal system, so the George Soros types can use you and manipulate you like puppets. Like, for example, putting your adult daughter, Lauren, on Democrat payroll and making her a lot of money, which is corruption by Judge Merchan to stay on this case.
Mike, really quickly here, Trump will win on appeal. They're giving him an opportunity to appeal now by sentencing him. Do you agree with this?
Yeah, I mean, he should win on appeal. I know that Amy Coney Barrett is a rattled law professor with her head up her ass. And so maybe she can stop knitting at night or whatever the hell she's doing and actually follow the law. I just can't understand with John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett how you can be immune from criminal prosecution, but not immune from criminal sentencing. And somehow we're going to leave it open that a third world dumpster fire of a court system. You have a third world Marxist judge, dangerous, partisan, corrupt judge with Soros-funded Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg and Matthew Colangelo deploying from the Biden Justice Department. The Supreme Court really thinks that we're going to leave it open, that you can sentence a president-elect 10 days before his inauguration. Come on, John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett, stop being cowards.
It does seem like I read the order, and I'm no smart legal mind, Mike, but that this seems really dangerous because they said, no, this is regular order for the court system. No, it's not. The dude's going to be the entire executive branch embodied in one man, as close as you get to a king in our modern era with the most powerful seat in all of government anywhere to ever exist in 10 days. So this is not regular order. I don't understand that argument.
Yeah, and the president-elect is distracted because he has to answer to this third world trash judge in Manhattan, Juan Merchan, maybe so his corrupt pile of dog shit daughter Lauren can keep raising tens of millions of dollars. How much is Lauren Merchan putting into her pocket from raising money off of her father's trial? Look, there has to be a criminal probe here, and I'm very serious about this. I'm going to say this very publicly. I'm going to lobby and pressure every day for the Trump 47 Justice Department to open a criminal probe under 18 USC Section 241, conspiracy against rights. That's one of the charges that Jack Smith brought against President Trump in D.C. for the non-crime of a presidential candidate objecting to the presidential election, which is allowed by the Electoral Count Act of 1887 and the First Amendment. It's certainly not legal, though, to politicize and weaponize our intel agencies and law enforcement at every level, federal, state, and local, to try to take out your political enemies. And every person who participated in that, prosecutors, agents, witnesses, judges, and other co-conspirators, must be subject to this criminal probe.
Really quickly here, Mike, you're a man of the Senate. Confirmations for Donald Trump. I know that you're working with them hand in glove. I know you're working very closely with a ton of Trump confirmations. Are we good?
Well, look, again, I didn't have the Article 3 project the last time because we would not have had to wait 18 months to confirm Justice Department officials the last time. And I'll tell you this, when President Trump nominated Kash Patel and Pete Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard, all the very smart people, including Senate Republicans, the pukes in the Senate, said these nominees are dead on arrival. Well, guess what? The Article 3 project at our action page lit them up. We had tens of thousands of people call them and email them. And in 3 days, we went from dead on arrival to when can they start? And we are going to be in this fight every day for the next 4 years, because this establishment in DC, the uniparty establishment, will do everything they can to undermine President Trump. But guess what? We're not going to let it happen again this time at the Article 3 project. We will, as I told the New York Times when I started this thing, I am taking off the gloves and putting on the brass knuckles, and I will break their glass jaws, legally, politically, and financially, of course.
Freaking fired up, Mike. Any parting thoughts to President Trump? I know he's just finished speaking in the audio. We're getting that loaded right now. We have President Trump speaking from the courtroom. Mike, you're welcome to listen to it with us, but I know you're very, very busy today and you have to go. But parting thoughts for President Trump entering into this administration in 10 days. What is the message from the Article 3 Project?
I would say this to these Democrats. President Trump is not your typical cuck Republican. He fights. They tried to throw Trump in prison for life with 4 different indictments. They tried to bankrupt him. They tried to throw him off the ballot in Colorado and Maine and elsewhere. They tried to take off his head when they intentionally underfunded his Secret Service protection. And Joe Biden said that Trump was the gravest threat to democracy. Teflon Don is back. He's going to go in on January 20th at noon, eyes wide open. The first time he didn't expect to win, right? And he had never run for office. He had never won office. This time, he is ready to govern. And he knows that personnel, picking the right people, is the most important thing he's going to do. And he is picking badasses, including the people at the Justice Department who are going to go in there and clean house, like Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche and Emil Bove and John Sauer and Harmeet Dillon and Gail Slater, and most importantly, Kash Patel at the FBI. This is not the country club Republican Party. This is the Trump Party.
Yeah, this is the bare knuckle brawlers party. Mike, you came with the flamethrower today, ladies and gentlemen. If you wish to put extra gas and kerosene into the flamethrower of Mike Davis, you must follow him on X. 330,000 subs. Make sure Mike gets to 1 million in Trump's first term. Ladies and gentlemen, in front of Trump's first year of his second term. 47, let's go, baby. Mike's organization right here, the Article 3 Project. This is their web, and we already have the quote up. Mike, you're good. Look at that. The quote that you just said on the program's already up on the web. What I want to do with the Article 3 Project is take out the gloves and put on the brass knuckles and fight back. There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how you support Mike.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I said break their glass jaws. I think my press team fixed that quote so I don't go to jail.
Woo! Mike, coming in hot as ever. My friend, thank you for fighting with us through all of this. Every single case went down in flames, and it is in no small part because of you and your work. And so everybody go support Mike, a true patriot, and with a red heart as red as his hair.
Thank you, Ben.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the audio. We have Todd Blanche. It's coming in, okay? We have the audio. We have Todd Blanche. This is President Trump's lawyer doing the commentary before Trump, okay? So Trump's lawyer spoke first. Todd Blanche spoke first. And then Trump speaks. We have both ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. We have both ready to go. Okay? Lock in with us. So here we go. We're going to start with Todd Blanche setting the table for Donald Trump. Okay? So this is Trump's lawyer speaking first, and then Donald Trump following him. Just released. And we are rocking live right now. Let's go.
Very much disagree with much of what the government just said about this case, about the legitimacy of what happened in this courtroom during the trial, and about President Trump's conduct fighting this case from before it was indicted to while it was indicted, to the jury's verdict, and even to this day. What the government just said presupposes something that we disagree with very much, which was that this was an appropriate case to be brought. It was not. This case, without a doubt, knowing everything we know about the timing of the investigation, the fact that multiple prosecutors looked at the fact of this case, including prosecutors within the district attorney's office in New York County, and made a decision not to bring charges. As the court knows, shortly after President Trump announced his intention to run for re-election, this case was started for what amounted to a third time, which brings us ultimately to where we are today. a lot of what the government just said presupposes that this case is legally appropriate and that the charges that were brought by the people were consistent with the laws of New York. Again, we very much disagree with that, and as everybody has been noted, because it's true, we certainly intend on appealing that. And it's not, by the way, just counsel and President Trump that feels that way. There's many, many, many legal experts that share the same views that I just said, which is that legally this case should not have been brought, both based on the facts that were established at trial and also on the legal basis for which they were brought. But it's also not just the legal experts, not just counsel, and not just President Trump, but the majority of the American people also agree that this case should not have been brought. I mean, the interesting thing about the fact that there was a trial for the first time in our history, a criminal trial during an election season, is that the American voters got a chance to see and decide for themselves whether this is the kind of case that should have been brought. And they decided. And that's why in 10 days, President Trump is going to assume the office of the President of the United States. And certainly we're here for the court to sentence President Trump to an unconditional discharge. And for that, it's a very sad day. It's a sad day for President Trump and his family and friends. But it's also, in counsel's view, a sad day for this country, because this was a case, without a doubt, that was brought by a district attorney who promised that he would go after President Trump if elected, and felt like he had to go through with that promise. And so that's sad. And I hope, and I know that President Trump shares this view, that this will never happen again in this country. And so we certainly understand where we are today. We very much intend on pursuing an appeal of this verdict and what happened during this investigation. And we certainly believe that the only appropriate sentence, if one's to be imposed at all, which we very much believe it shouldn't be, and that the case should be dismissed, is a sentence of an unconditional discharge. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is a great rollout from Todd Blanche, who again will be President Trump appointee at the Department of Justice, like the number 2 or 3 in charge at the Department of Justice. He's saying this case should have never been brought, that there's no rationale for it, that it was absolute and abject political persecution. You can see here the image. This is the only image that we have of the courthouse, the courtroom. Todd Blanche, this is the individual, Todd Blanche, who has been defending President Trump in this case for nigh on 18 months. President Trump really trusts this guy, and he's taking a high-ranking position. So Todd Blanche there speaking before President Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump spoke for nearly 7 minutes to the court. This is President Trump speaking, audio only. There was no opportunity to have anyone film this. Did somebody film behind the scenes? I don't know. I'm not sure. If that gets released, we'll play it for you. But what we have is the audio, ladies and gentlemen. We've made sure that we have the audio locked in, and it is crisp and clear as a bell. Here is President Trump speaking in his defense at his sentencing today in New York. Let's go.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. This has been a very terrible experience. I think it's been a tremendous setback for New York and the New York court system. This is a case that Alvin Bragg did not want to bring. He thought it was, from what I read and from what I hear, inappropriately handled before he got there. A gentleman from a law firm came in and acted as a district attorney, and that gentleman, from what I heard, was a criminal or almost criminal in what he did. It was very inappropriate. It was somebody involved with my political opponent. Part of the records that we're talking about, they're saying, I just noticed where he said I was falsifying business records. well, the falsification of business records, as they say it, was calling a legal expense in the books where everybody could see them, a legal expense. In other words, that legal fees or legal expense were put down as legal expense by accountants. They weren't put down by me, they were put down by accountants. I didn't call them construction, concrete work, I didn't call them electrical work, I didn't call them anything. They called a legal fee or a legal expense, and for this, I got indicted. It's incredible, actually. Now, if you look, my attorney alluded to it, the top legal scholars and legal pundits in this country, the ones that are quoted all the time on television, that are making their views felt and highly respected people, have said, everyone, virtually everyone that I know of, I haven't seen any to the contrary, not one, and none of these people are not exactly friends of mine, to put it mildly, but they all said this is a case that should have never been brought. It's an injustice of justice. Very respected Jonathan Turley, Andy McCarthy, Judge David Rifkin, a wonderful man who just passed away, by the way, Greg Jarrett, Ellie Honig from CNN, of all places. CNN said that. Paul Ingrassia, Alan Dershowitz, they all said this is not a case that should be brought. It's not, think about it, legal expenses are down as legal expenses, and I get indicted for business records. Everybody should be so accurate. It's been a political witch hunt. It was done to damage my reputation so that I'd lose the election, and obviously that didn't work. And the people of our country got to see this firsthand because they watched the case in your courtroom. They got to see this firsthand, and then they voted, and I won and got the largest number of votes by far of any Republican candidate in history, and won, as you know, all 7 swing states, won conclusively all 7 swing states, and won the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. And they've been watching your trial, so they understood it. I wasn't allowed to use the lawyer-client privilege or the reliance on counsel. I had a lawyer that made this deal, and he admitted that. And he was also a totally discredited person. We weren't allowed to use the information from the Southern District that totally discredited him. It wasn't allowed to be put in. And that was terrible, unbelievable. And this is a man who's got no standing. He's been disbarred on other matters, unrelated. And he was allowed to talk as though he were George Washington. But he's not George Washington. He shouldn't have been allowed. The Southern District did a book of approximately 28 pages where I've never seen anything like it. They excoriated him. You wouldn't let it be put into evidence. So he was able to testify as a witness, and I think it's a disgrace to the system. I was under a gag order. I'm the first president in history that was under a gag order where I couldn't talk about aspects of the case that are very important. I guess I'm still under, so probably I won't do it now. I assume I'm still under a gag order. But the fact is that I'm totally innocent. I did nothing wrong. They talked about business records, and the business records were extremely accurately counted. I had nothing to do with them. That was done by an accountant or a bookkeeper who I think gave very credible testimony and was corroborated by everybody that was asked. And with all that's happening in our country today, with a city that's burning to the ground, one of our largest, most important cities burning to the ground, with wars that are uncontrollably going on, with all of the problems of inflation and attacks on countries and all of the horrible things that are going on, I got indicted over calling a legal expense a legal expense. It was called a legal expense. I just want to say I think it's an embarrassment to New York, and New York has a lot of problems, but this is a great embarrassment. I believe that this and other cases that were brought, as you know, the DOJ is very much involved in this case. It's because that's the political opponent they're talking about. The DOJ is very involved. You have a gentleman sitting right there from the DOJ who was from the DOJ's office. He was also involved with the New York State Attorney General's case. And he went from there to here. He went around and did what he had to do. He got them to move on me. But in the meantime, I won the election in a massive landslide, and the people of this country understand what's gone on. This has been a weaponization of government. They call it lawfare. Never happened to any extent like this, but never happened in our country before. And I'd just like to explain that I was treated very, very unfairly. And I thank you very much.
Sorry about that. I mute myself because oftentimes I will yell or scream or be typing, and I don't want to interrupt, obviously, ever President Trump in this, and it's, you know, tough enough to hear as it is. Trump saying, my crime was listing a legal expense as a legal expense. This was my crime. You've been doing this to me because I'm going to win. And I did win. And so now you are punishing me. Ladies and gentlemen, justice is coming. Those who hunted Trump will become the hunted. It's hard to listen to, honestly, but Trump sounding calm, chill, under control. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very, very interesting clip from the judge himself. And before we move on from this, we want to play you the judge. Klein, just load that up, please. Are we ready? Ready. Okay, so this is the judge. This is the judge speaking to Trump after that. If we're going to bring you all through this sequence of events, we're going to move to the judge himself, who should, quite frankly, be stripped of his robe and charged with obstruction under U.S. Section 18C2, violation of President Trump's rights under law, and the collusion of the government to rob an American citizen of their constitutional liberties. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Juan Merchan for the first time ever on audio. We've never even heard his voice, and it sounds exactly like I think it would. Ladies and gentlemen, Juan Merchan speaking now to President Trump. This comes directly after President Trump concludes his comments. Actually, start the clip from the beginning. You'll hear Trump trail off here, the end of President Trump's comments, and you'll hear the judge then speaking to Trump. Let's listen to it together. Let's go.
I'd like to explain that I was treated very, very unfairly, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump, you appear before this court today to conclude this criminal proceeding by the imposition of sentence. Although I have taken the unusual step of informing you in advance of my inclinations, before imposing sentence, I believe it is important for you, as well as those observing these proceedings, to understand my reasoning for the sentence I am about to impose. The imposition of sentence is one of the most difficult and significant decisions that any criminal court judge is called upon to make. Our legislature sets the parameters for an authorized sentence, but it is a judge that must decide what constitutes a just conclusion to a verdict of guilty. A court is vested with broad discretion in determining what sources or evidence it may consider to arrive at an appropriate sentence. In doing so, the court must consider the facts of the case along with any aggravating or mitigating circumstances. In my time on the bench, I've been called upon to grapple with this weighty responsibility for countless defendants who have been found guilty after trial for an assortment of offenses, ranging from nonviolent Class E felonies to the most heinous of crimes, including homicides, sex trafficking, and child sexual abuse. The task is always difficult and deserving of careful consideration, whether the sentence be an unconditional discharge or incarceration of 25 years to life. However, never before has this court been presented with such a unique and remarkable set of circumstances. Indeed, it can be viewed fairly that this has been a truly extraordinary case. There was unprecedented media attention, public interest, and heightened security involving various agencies. And yet, the trial was a bit of a paradox because once the courtroom doors were closed, the trial itself was no more special, unique, or extraordinary than the other 32 criminal trials that took place in this courthouse at the same exact time. Jury selection was conducted, the same rules of evidence were followed, opening statements were made, witnesses called and cross-examined, evidence presented, summations delivered, the same burden of proof was applied, and a jury made up of ordinary citizens delivered a verdict. And it was all conducted pursuant to the rules of procedure and guided by the law. Of course, part of what made it feel somewhat ordinary was the outstanding work, preparation, and professionalism of the clerks, court officers, court reporters, security personnel, and the entire staff of this building who did their jobs as they would with any other criminal trial. So while one can argue that the trial itself was in many respects somewhat ordinary, the same cannot be said about the circumstances surrounding this sentencing. And that is because of the office you once occupied and which you will soon occupy again. To be sure, it is the legal protections afforded to the office of the President of the United States that are extraordinary, not the occupant of the office. The legal protections, especially within the context of a criminal prosecution, afforded to the office of the President have been laid out by our founders, the Constitution, and most recently interpreted by the United States Supreme Court in the matter of Trump versus the United States, which was decided on July 1st, 2024. As with every other defendant in your position, it is my obligation to consider any and all aggravating and mitigating factors to inform my decision. Some of those aggravating factors have already been articulated in my Sandoval ruling at the start of this trial and by my recent written decisions on December 16th and January 3rd. Thus, they need not be repeated at this time. However, the considerable, indeed, extraordinary legal protections afforded by the office of the Chief Executive is a factor that overrides all others. To be clear, the protections afforded the office of the President are not a mitigating factor. They do not reduce the seriousness of the crime or justify its commission in any way. The protections are, however, a legal mandate which, pursuant to the rule of law, this court must respect and follow. However, despite the extraordinary breadth of those protections, one power they do not provide is the power to erase a jury verdict. It is clear from legal precedent, which until July 1st was scarce, that Donald Trump, the ordinary citizen, Donald Trump, the criminal defendant, would not be entitled to such considerable protections. I'm referring to protections that extend well beyond those afforded the average defendant who winds their way through the criminal justice system each day. No, ordinary citizens do not receive those legal protections. It is the office of the President that bestows those far-reaching protections to the office holder. And it was the citizenry of this nation that recently decided that you should once again receive the benefits of those protections, which include, among other things, the Supremacy Clause and presidential immunity. It is through that lens and that reality that this court must determine a lawful sentence. After careful analysis, in obedience to governing mandates, and pursuant to the rule of law, this court has determined that the only lawful sentence that permits entry of a judgment of conviction without encroaching upon the highest office in the land is an unconditional discharge, which the New York State Legislature has determined is a lawful and permissible sentence for the crime of falsifying business records in the first degree. Therefore, At this time, I impose that sentence to cover all 34 counts. Sir, I wish you Godspeed as you assume your second term in office. Thank you.
Wait, so he wished him well? He wished him well at the end. So the judge sits there on his little pedestal and gives some little speech, and it gives some lecture to Donald Trump that he's like no different than anybody else. This judge who has sneered and snickered and sniveled and actually laughed when President Trump was convicted. This judge who has, according to the lawyers who have all been on our program, every Trump lawyer has been on our show. We have more Trump lawyers who will be joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, this judge had stopped and overruled and shut down all available opportunity for Trump's lawyers to defend him, to object, to stop witnesses like Michael Cohen, who is a convicted perjurer in the court. This judge has muzzled the president of the United States when trillion-dollar companies like Facebook are liberating Trump's speech, when Trump's speech is being liberated across the globe. This judge actually is the final last Marxist communist apparatchik to put a gag on President Trump. Trump, in his comment, said, I actually can't say these things because you still have a gag order on me. This man is a vile cretin. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that, as has been said on this program time and time again, the hunters will become the hunted in this situation. There are so many individuals who are popping off right now online, including but not limited to Stephen Miller, who is saying, we shall restore justice in this country, and we will not allow these criminals who came after President Trump in a conspiracy to prevail. Ladies and gentlemen, in 10 days, justice will be restored fully and absolutely, says Stephen Miller. Charlie Kirk up with a good banger. Charlie Kirk saying, we will not stop until we have prosecuted and imprisoned those who have done this to our president. This will not end today. You've gotten no victory here. All you've done, ladies and gentlemen, is paint a target as to where we must go to restore justice. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us live right now is somebody who is unequivocally knowledgeable about President Trump in these times. Somebody who's been through Donald Trump, through these fires and through these fights, and somebody who was there from the beginning, actually, as President Trump's first press secretary, and who could give some great insight into the mind of Donald Trump through this moment. Sean Spicer joins the program live now. Spicy, it is a spicy day today. A lot of high emotions. Welcome to the program, Sean. First off, I appreciate your patience, the patience of Job. We had to get through this commentary.
Damn, now Judge Marchand screwing up our day.
Now that we've gotten there, and I'm sure you've listened through, can you tell me what's your major takeaway here about what's happening in New York?
The word that keeps coming to mind is ridiculous. This whole thing is I was listening to Judge Marchand preach as you played this about no other person would be. Just stop. No other person would have been charged with this. Listen, just for the record, you could be the biggest Trump hater in the entire world. No one would have been charged with this. The statute of limitations expired. They created a series of charges and told the jury, yeah, you don't even really need to know what the charge is because that's okay. You just don't have to like him. If you actually care about rule of law in the judicial system, then this is a joke. It's ridiculous. It's a travesty. It's a mockery of our judicial system. And if you care about America and you want to preach about Donald Trump, this and that, then you should say this is a bridge too far. Because this was literally, for all the crap about Donald Trump's going to do this and do that, what they did to him and what they did to the judicial system. And frankly, that's the thing, Benny. Look, Donald Trump can take it. You said at the beginning that I've watched this guy take so much crap, and he's got billions of dollars to fight it. But to Judge Marchand's point, if this was me or you or one of our neighbors or the random dude walking down the street now, we couldn't fight that because we don't have $1 billion to hire a legal team that could come up there and make cases and argue to the Supreme Court and all that kind of stuff. Donald Trump was able to fight and win because he has the resources and the wherewithal to do it. No one else could have done this. We would have folded like a cheap suit and said, okay, the Department of Justice and their allies there in New York are coming after us. We don't have the funds to put up a massive legal defense. Look, I've told people all the time, one of the things that's so unknown, I wasn't a target, but I was a witness in the Mueller case. And your lawyer has to have a lawyer who has to have a paralegal, who has to have whatever. I mean, just for an hour-long discussion, it's costing thousands of dollars, right? Even if you're not a target. Donald Trump has billions of dollars and a lot of great attorneys around him. Most people don't have those resources. And so when Judge Marchand preaches about most people wouldn't have been treated this way, most people would have never had the case brought against them, right? And the idea that there are people in New York City that are facing criminals and crimes against themselves, their property, and they're going after this dude for a bookkeeping issue that was well past the statute of limitations. And I think the one point I wish Trump had spoken less about the politics of this, because at the beginning of his remarks that you played, he made one really interesting point that I thought, he's like, I put in my ledger, or my aides did, I didn't, the people who work for me, I'm a billionaire, wrote legal expense. And it was a legal expense. I paid a lawyer. So what are we here for? I wish he had just said, just Judge, tell me that. Explain to me how putting a legal expense in your personal ledger, not your filings with the IRS or the state, in your personal ledger, legal expense, because I paid my lawyer. What is he goes, what did he say? I didn't put it construction costs or something like this. This was the dumbest travesty of justice that I've seen perpetrated in years. And I've seen a lot. You've seen a lot. It's just, I was listening to President Trump in the courtroom. He gave Judge Marchand much more respect than he deserves. I heard his comments. I read his tweet. He's handling this. I think I'm more fired up than he is.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. I mean, as somebody who was the press secretary for the 2016 campaign, the RNC, and then for President Trump at the White House, you have to like a sort of a really instinctual knowledge of where his brain is here. And everything from yesterday, chuckling with Barack Obama, through to today, like Trump's in a pure flow state. Can you sort of zoom out and like unpack? How does Trump handle this kind of pressure?
Well, first of all, he handles pressure better than anybody I've ever. I mean, there's two things. One, he handles pressure, and B, like I've told people, I've had my rear end ripped by Donald Trump, and 3 seconds later, he's like, hey, Sean, so by the way, I heard it's your birthday in 2 days. What are we doing about that? And you're like, what? He can compartmentalize. I mean, he will literally rip you a new one, the likes of which you've never, and then 6 seconds later being like, hey, by the way, I heard that there's an issue with your family or something, and let's talk about that. I hope you're doing well. And you're like, is this the same guy? He can compartmentalize and deal with stress in a way that I've never seen anyone deal with. So that's the first thing I would say. And the second thing is you kind of touched on this, Benny, and it's important. I've been spending more time than I probably should thinking about somebody else's, but you mentioned like the press conference he held, the Meet the Press interview. This is a different Donald Trump. He commented on this last night. In 2016, and I'm going to just be straight, I'm jealous. I'm jealous of the incoming team because in 2016, it was, you guys didn't win. You're not good enough. Russia did it. And we were immediately facing headwinds. Explain, the bust of Martin Luther King falsely was not in the Oval Office. Not true. Everything was, you're not good enough. You didn't deserve this. You didn't really win. And this time, Mark Zuckerberg and everyone's down there kissing his butt, handing out $1 million checks to the inauguration. The media's like doing amazing stories on Susie Wilde and his team. And I just sit back and I'm like, you know what? Again, I'm honored to have played a part in the first one. I'm glad I'm not. I mean, I'm like, look, time served. But I am jealous of this team a little bit because they are entering office with the country, even the Democrats. You know, John Fetterman's going down there to Mar-a-Lago. People are falling over themselves to spend 2 minutes with the guy because finally they are treating him and the movement the way it is. And I just got to say, I mean, for the MAGA movement, the Maha movement, I just love the fact that all of these issues, Trump himself is getting the credit and the legitimacy and the credibility, all of those things. Like, finally.
Yes. Very quickly, Sean, because there's very few people who can speak authoritatively about this. What is your advice to that incoming team? So we've seen this. This is like the final late stage, end stage collapse of this lawfare against Donald Trump. There are now no more other. I mean, Fannie Willis has been thrown off. Jack Smith is gone. Everyone's been fired. There's nothing else against President Trump. So the earth has sort of been salted and wiped clean. And I know you're up against a hard out, but very quickly here, give some advice to Caroline Leavitt and that press team heading in there on how to defend President Trump.
Number one, let him be him. He is his best defender. You saw him. And I mean, I thought it was great in the courtroom today I came into the job, I think mistakenly, I learned a lot about, I have to go defend him. I have to do this. This is my role. Donald Trump is his best defender, his best spokesman. And the more times that you can let him do that for you, speak to him, or at least say, I spoke to him. Here are the 10 things he said. I learned that during the end of my tenure. His instincts are great. He knows the movement. He has a great sense of the media and where the people are. So let him guide that. Don't fight him. And I think there was too many people in that first term that wanted to fight him, to push back on him. I think that's why Susie Wiles has been as successful as she has, because she understands her job, as she says, is to manage the staff, not the candidate. I think Caroline's going to go in there with she served under Kayleigh, so she knows the job, she knows the process, and then she also knows Trump, and she's got a very good relationship with him. So I think she's going to hit the ground running, do very, very well. But I think for all of those folks, we had Benny. I'll just leave you with this. Last time it was like, the band of misfit children. Like you had Rex Tillerson and Gary Cohn and Jared and Reince Bannon and myself, Kellyanne, and we all hadn't really worked together as a team. These folks, I was thinking about this the other day. I mean, I knew I'd met Jeff Sessions, right? I've known Pam Bondi for 12 years. These guys are going in as an experienced, known quantity. They know each other. They've worked with each other. They know the president well. From A to Z, they have a relationship with the president that we didn't have the luxury of in 2016. And I think that that's going to serve them well, because they know what he wants. They know how he speaks. They know, and they have a relationship with him. So I think I'm telling you, Benny, trust me when I tell you this, and believe me, I don't need to tell you. But this is going to be an unbelievably effective, and if I'm just get a seat on Inauguration Day, buckle up, because it's going to make your head spin what these guys have planned, and it's not going to stop for a while. I'm so fired up to see this thing, because the one other thing I'll say, and then I'll let you go, is I don't think people fully appreciate what 4 years out of office has meant for Donald Trump and his team. Most presidents go back to back. They're consecutive. It just keeps going down the runway. During these 4 years, they have been able to look at the people, the process, and the policies and say, how can we be better? How can we stop people from undermining us? How can we execute and implement the agenda in a way that we couldn't the first time, because we didn't see some of the roadblocks coming the way that they would? These guys know what's in front of them. They know what they want to do. They know how much time they're going to have, and they're going to crush it.
I love that. The cohesive unit. It's so interesting,
yes,
the way that you've talked, the way you've sort of architectured out this. And you're right. I think, and I deign to say it, but possibly the best thing ever was Trump leaving the White House in 2021, regrouping, and then coming back strong like a roaring lion.
These guys, the funny part about this, and like I said, we'll leave it at this, but It's like the lawfare. They didn't understand, like when they pushed him out the first time, I don't think they fully appreciated what him coming back would look like. And when they went after him in the courts, I don't think that they understood how that would empower him in the movement. These guys are so off base so many times. And I think this may be the most consequential 4 years that any president's had in modern history.
Yes, clearly, yeah, clearly. We're excited. Everyone can feel it. If you have tapped,
That's why I'm jealous.
If you've tapped into spiritual energy,
if you know, everybody's so excited. I mean, I'm just And it wasn't people. We had protests and people pushing down the. I mean, like I was like, as I was sitting there listening to this, I was looking through some pictures from 2016. There were people like I literally was like had snapshots of folks on Facebook that were like, we're gonna protest Sean Spicer's house. This time, people are like flying down to Mar-a-Lago to have parties. So it's such a different environment. Anyway, appreciate that.
Sean, thank you for that insight. Godspeed. Everybody needs to follow Sean. Here we go. You probably already do, ladies and gentlemen. Sean Spicer with 500,000 subs here on X.
By the way, Benny, we got a big show tonight at 6 on my YouTube channel about drones and UFOs. I'm excited. I know this is like, it's amazing how pathetic our national security is, but we're going to have a really interesting conversation on what lawmakers know.
Yeah, and President Trump saying he's going to let everyone know what
I
the
know
on day one. So that's going to be very, very interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, go on over there and sub to our friend Sean. Thank you, Sean. Godspeed, sir.
Take care. Thanks, man.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to show you one thing. We have to lock in on one single thing here before we move to the broader expanse of this topic. We're going to be welcoming some more guests, President Trump's lawyers, Mike Cernovich, Julie Kelly, Alina Habba. Come on, baby. This is a moment where we would be desperate to book Kash Patel. Kash is our friend. I can't believe it, but like our close friend is going to become the FBI director. Kash is not allowed to do media right now. You won't find him on any media. In fact, I'll tell you exactly where Kash is. He's doing his murder boards. What murder boards are is it's preparation for his Senate hearing. Kash will go into Senate hearings soon. They're being booked right now. So Kash is preparing, ladies and gentlemen, to be your next FBI director. I would love nothing more, because it was the Department of Justice that did this to Trump, to have Kash Patel on the program. But here's what we have, ladies and gentlemen. Here's what we have. Before we get to Mike Cernovich, before we get to Andrew Tate, who will be joining us very soon, is Kash Patel defending Donald Trump outside of the court. Kash did not do a lot of this, meaning he only went to the court once, right? And he stood there and he like threw down for the president before the entire media of the globe. And this is a sign of things to come. It's something we have to play. It's the last thing we went into the archive to grab. Here's Kash Patel full-throatedly and muscularly defending President Trump outside of that court, and this will show you who's going to be your next FBI director and the energy he's going to bring to this position. Let's go.
Thank you, General. My name is Kash Patel, former national security prosecutor, former public defender, and I'm here to tell you, after 6 weeks of unconstitutional trial, we have finally found a crime. Michael Cohen admitted on the witness stand just this morning to 6 different felonies of stealing Donald Trump's money. After 6 weeks of trial, we finally have a crime. We also have a victim. That victim is Donald J. Trump. Michael Cohen admitted under oath to structuring transactions illegally and stealing tens of thousands of dollars from Donald Trump. What's even worse from a constitutional perspective is that the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York knew about Cohen's crimes for 6 years. The Department of Justice with Merrick Garland and Joe Biden knew about Michael Cohen's crimes. The District Attorney Alvin Bragg and his Fantasy Island knew about Michael Cohen's crimes, and he has been charged with 0 of those felonies. The core case of this unconstitutional circus is the biggest felon in the U.S. history, and Michael Cohen is their star witness. It is a total bastardization of due process. I am honored to be here in support of Donald J. Trump. He is being victimized, but we as a country are being victimized even more by the unconstitutional weaponization of justice and the two-tier system of justice that is on full display. I'm proud to be here, and I'm proud to be followed by New York's greatest police commissioner, Bernie Kerik.
Boom. We're ready to have that energy back, baby. Kash Patel preparing right now, I can report to you, for his murder board, for his Senate confirmation. Ladies and gentlemen, we have joining us right now a legend, somebody who has predicted President Trump in his every single move, somebody who has laid the groundwork for this moment with early work with some legends like Andrew Breitbart and Tucker, somebody who is, and I use this term very, very sparingly because you have to make sure that you are locked in when you use it, wise. Mike Cernovich is wise. Mike Cernovich comes to us from California, and he's going to talk to us about what's happening on a larger scale across the country, grabbing hold of this moment. There's been no one better, one of the few wise men in this space. The great Mike Cernovich joins the show now. Mike, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Watching the world literally and figuratively recover from the burning.
Yes, that's right. I trust that you and your family are safe. I know that you're out of kind of the burn zone.
Yeah. We're in OC. It's a different culture. So you don't have the arson problems that you have in LA. You don't have the lawlessness.
Yeah. Maybe we zoom out here and talk a little bit about President Trump just got sentenced. First convicted felon president, right? Now it's official. Okay. So we're talking about lawlessness. We're talking about arson. What's your take on this? You obviously are one of the guys who laid the groundwork actually for a President Trump presidency decades ago. Did you see it coming to this? Was this predictable?
No, the anarcho-tyranny, which is a term, I forget who coined it, but I've seen Blake Masters use it, Tucker used it, somebody who, predecessor to both of us, had mentioned it, which is under anarcho-tyranny, which is an important concept to understand, you'll get a parking ticket, but the arsonists will be allowed to go start fires. So there's a squeeze on the law-abiding, there's a squeeze on the middle class, there's this oppression, as you know, well, you're in Florida now, which is more free, but anywhere in deep blue areas, LA, for example, you feel this suppression. So a story I told, which was true, people obviously didn't believe it, but now they saw it was true from the video, is I was leaving the Diamond District. I got my wife's ring resized. And as I'm walking out, I'm about to walk through a don't walk sign because who cares, right? An old Asian lady in her 60s grabs my arm. No, don't do that. Ticket, you get ticket. I said, ticket. You look across the street, there are people sleeping in tents, right? That's anarcho-tyranny, is if you have money, the state is going to squeeze you. They're going to take what they can from you because they know that you'll pay the ticket. But if you're some druggie, they'll let you camp out. The laws don't really apply. So that's the regime that the left is bringing now. Did I foresee this? No. In 2020, I sat it out for various reasons that some agree with, most don't. But I thought, and I said this and wrote about it, I go, we can't really lose in 2020 because either Trump wins or Biden wins and it gets so bad that people want Trump back. However, and I was listening to your prior segment, you and Spicer are right that it is better in a way that he lost, but I didn't know it was going to get this bad. Yeah. The human suffering, I probably wouldn't have sat out 2020, even though I agree that in the long view, it really is better that he lost. But I didn't know that we would have this much, just the scale of suffering, the scale of incompetence, the deficits, the wars, just so many people had to die and suffer because of this. So in a way, it's good that he lost, but because it shows this is what Democrat rule is, right? Everyone from Gavin to Karen Bass to Biden to Kamala Harris, Pelosi, completely unprepared for the moment. And I do like, even though it's not my job, the boomer conservative who's like, Democrats are the real racists, that's cringy. I'm not saying that, but I do like that there's not a competent white person on the Democrat side either, so that this doesn't get racialized. You're just like, this is just Democrat rule, whether you're Gavin Newsom, a tall, handsome man, or Joe Biden, or Karen Bass, or Kamala Harris, or Obama, you all stuck, right? This is the end result of a Democrat supermajority. So I am hopeful. I am hopeful that people have seen the light.
You're delivering a historic first here, Mike, which is the first ever little bear cub, I believe, to appear on our program. We've never had a live hit with a cute little bear cub. You got a lot to fight for, man, in California, and you're still fighting. There's a lot of people who had to evacuate their families, their children, schools burned down. Total and complete incompetence. You and I have been texting about this. Is it possible for California to go red? And I'll preface this by saying my take on this is there's no such thing as a permanent red state or a permanent blue state. Right. You have to always be forever vigilant. Your take from California, I mean, Orange County, you're not terribly far away from these fires, right? So your thoughts?
Yeah, there's the way for California to go red with some pretty big caveats. So what we had talked about yesterday in terms of California is, it isn't Florida. You can't be a hardcore pro-life and win in California statewide. Sorry, you just can't. And there's a lot of people who really do let the best be the enemy of the good. Where, I can't vote for somebody if it's like, well, it's not that they support abortion. It's just that you're gonna have it at some level in California, and there's nothing you can do about it. We're not going to get AR-15s with 30-round magazines anytime soon. So if you're a Second Amendment bro, everybody has these purity tests, and forget that politics is about you have to win elections and then you have to use power to the extent that you're able to use power. It isn't having something that frustrates me a lot of times with people is, if you have a podcast, you can be a moral purist. I'm so pure. I'm so holy. Everyone else is unprincipled. I'm the principled. You can do that with a podcast. But when you're running for elective office, sorry, it's a different game. So too many people mistake what they hear on podcasts or them being a podcaster for what it means to be a member of Congress or what it means to run for governor. So I do think the fire woke a lot of people up. We have all these gangs that came in under Joe Biden that are looting. So every dire prediction we made has come to pass. So there's a real opportunity either for a Republican or a dino, a Democrat name only. So a pro-choicer, says the right things about guns, but really, wink, wink, nod, nod, is going to support concealed carry, because now imagine you're in LA. Wouldn't it be nice to have concealed carry permit? We can get those in Orange County. A lot of people have concealed carry.
At the top of my feed, Mike, is LA police report and a bunch of videos of arsonists being arrested now. And we caught a load of hell earlier in the week saying that these fires are not natural and are being started by people. What's the update on that? Are these arsonists fires?
I think all of them are arson. Yeah. The only question is, was it the drug cartels committing fires so that they could loot your houses? Was it environmental activists who wanted to make it look like it's climate change? Was it, there was arson, people can look this up. It was actually a fire department employee a couple years ago. There was arson a couple years ago from a real arsonist. So you have firebugs, you have communist China, you have low-level criminals who think they want to just wild out and do hood rat things. You have drug cartels who want to loot. There's a lot of forces. I think they're all arson. And I know the latest one they know is arson, and they think they caught the guy. But that's what they do. They always say, oh, it's climate change. I can tell you on the ground in California, nobody's talking about climate change. Even the most lib of lib people, they're talking, because even if it is climate change, okay, that doesn't explain the incompetency, because you can believe climate change is real, but still have water in your fire hydrants. In fact, you would have more water in your fire hydrants. So if you really believe that it's real, right? It's like if you in Florida, you're like, oh, gangs are coming to, a dire thing is happening. Well, you buy more ammo, right? You wouldn't just say, oh, well, throw my hands up in the air. The gangs are coming. What am I going to do? So nobody hears. So I hope Nicole Shanahan types, because that's really who it's going to take. People are always like, oh, Cerno run. I can't run for office, guys. Understand California politics. Maybe in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district, but we have her, so we don't need me there anyway. There are 4 or 5 congressional districts I could run in, but let's be realistic. This is for Nicole Shanahan, the Naval Ravikant types, the Rick Caruso types. This is their moment, and I hope they see the crown in the mud and they just bend over and take it. Well, that sounded bad. Reach down and grab. Reach down and grab the crown.
Isn't that's what a perfect kickoff. This is exactly the line to get President Trump to Inauguration Day. He found the crown of America lying in the mud, and he picked it up, washed it off, and made it golden all over again. Welcoming us into the golden era, a man who's very much partially responsible for this golden era and who played a big note, ladies and gentlemen, bringing us Donald Trump populism. The great Mike Cernovich. Please follow Mike for all things, including lifestyle habits and fatherly advice, and advice on just how to live a profound and happy life of meaning. 1.3 million Americans already follow Mike, and he's the man. Godspeed, Mike.
Always a pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, something I've been excited to say on this program, well, since really the inception of the program, and someone who I think will deliver absolute, profound takes on what is happening right now, because he himself has been the victim of state-sponsored incarceration, lawfare, and abuses of justice for political reasons, has had his free speech silenced and limited, has had his freedom of movement and thought silenced and limited, and has fought through at every measure, and is now on the precipice of victory and looking at potentially running himself for office. We're going to ask all of these things of Andrew Tate, who joins us live now. Andrew Tate, top G from the podium.
From the podium, yeah, because I'm basically de facto the Prime Minister of the UK currently.
This is the seal of the UK government? Is that in front of
It's the seal of the Bruv Party. This is Britain restoring underlying values. So that's my seal and that's my party, and we're going to take control of the UK government and save it from the decimation that it's currently facing.
I got to tell you, Andrew, this is a first for our program, and we love the podium look. It's very official. And we look forward to getting into your politics and into your race and into your brand new party. However, massive breaking news here stateside is, of course, the sentencing of President Trump, now a convicted felon. You know so very much about this, but whether it be you or Marine Le Pen in France or Bolsonaro in Brazil or President Trump here in America, there seems to be a global fight against the freedom movement, against populism, and against free speech and free thinkers. You yourself have been a victim of this, and so I want to just set the table for you to sound off on your take, President Trump being sentenced today.
Yeah, that was a foregone conclusion. Anyone who believed that jury selection had anything to do with the decision that they were going to come up with for President Trump is extremely childish. That's not how these things work. When you plan an assassination, you don't plan to break into somebody's house and then forget to plan how to do the murder. They had decided to find him guilty of a crime. They decided to make it all up. They decided to find a corrupt judge, and they decided to find a corrupt jury. The only reason they gave him the sentence they gave him is because he won the election. Otherwise, he'd be looking at the rest of his life in jail. It's absolutely disgusting. And I don't know how anybody left on the planet is looking at these criminal cases and seems to think it's anything to do with law and order. And it's not simply just the Matrix trying to influence and keep control of the populations by destroying the head of the snake. Anybody who's truly large and has a huge platform, who speaks in a way that they fear, is going to catch a criminal case.
So Donald Trump caught 7 criminal cases, and they've all been atomized now, and I think that this will be overturned on a appeal. However, it did the damage and it had the intended effect. Do you believe that their intention was to kill President Trump in prison, either by having him live out his days in prison or through some type of Jeffrey Epstein's means?
Yeah, their intention was to lock him up and put him in jail. And also their intention is to make sure that they can slander him permanently, which is what they do to me. A lot of people, even on the conservative side, are still childish enough, post all of these Trump accusations, post-COVID, post all the lies they've told us for all of this time, to sit and say, Andrew said something bad on the internet 10 years ago, so he's actually a bad person. That's not how this works. What they do is they slander you and they trial you by media so that every time your name is said, they do not talk about your points of view and they do not talk about your accomplishments. They talk about what you are accused of. That is the primary objective. So they don't have to say Donald Trump, former president who tried to save the economy. They say Donald Trump, rapist, or Donald Trump, convicted felon. It just gives them a way to deflect from somebody's actual achievements. And that's the primary objective of all of these things. And the same thing has happened to me. So their intention was to lock him up, put him in jail forever. But outside of that, they also want this thing that can constantly parade around and pretend it means something. I don't think convicted felon means anything anymore. I don't care that he's a convicted felon at all, because it was a kangaroo court and it was a setup. And I know it was a setup because I've been set up. All of it is. And they can find any person on the planet. I want to make something clear to everybody at home. Every single man who is watching this now is guilty of something. If they get a prosecutor and they say, get him, you're guilty of something. You forgot to dot an I, you forgot to cross a T, you slept with a girl in high school, doesn't matter what it was. They'll find it, they'll lie, they'll slander you via the media. And the saddest thing is that people on the conservative side believe this garbage. They believe this crap that comes out of the mainstream media. It's a setup. It's find the person, I'll find the crime, and it's all a foregone conclusion in kangaroo courts.
Yeah, maybe you can speak to that on a grander sense, because I do note this. Even today, there are conservatives that are, oh, Pete Hegseth, oh, wow, he said or did something. Oh, he did something so naughty. We've got to pull Pete Hegseth. He can't be Secretary of Defense because of something that happened 10 years ago. Or Brett Kavanaugh, he's currently on the Supreme Court. He's somebody who voted against President Trump being sentenced today, saying this is totally out of order for you to sentence someone who's about to become president, the chief executive, in 10 days. So Brett Kavanaugh, they did a number on him. And this is kind of the playbook, right, against Kavanaugh. And there are still Republicans and conservatives today who who clutch pearls over these things. And I think that they're useful idiots.
Oh, they are useful idiots. But the reason we've been getting destroyed by some of the least competent members of society is this pathetic grandstanding from people on the conservative side who cry their eyes out that 10 years ago someone made a joke on the internet, or 10 years ago somebody slept with a girl. We need to grow up. We need to all grow up and understand that nobody is perfect, and that this is about the politics and not the politician. It's about what someone's views are and how competent they are in their job. We're the only people who are policing our own side with these ridiculous moral standards, while the other team will let felons, thieves, drug addicts, it doesn't matter what they do, come in and abuse the law to destroy us. And then we want to sit there and wonder why we're permanently losing. 10 years ago, did I make inappropriate jokes on the internet? Yes. Am I sorry? No. We're grown-ups. It was 10 years. Get over it. I don't want to be seen as a squeaky clean good guy, because those squeaky clean good guys do nothing to aid the fight. They sit and hide at home, waiting to be told what to do by the Democrats. It's men like me who are prepared to go to jail. Men like me who are prepared to go arrested. Men like me are prepared to lose their life and lose access to their children. And men like me make jokes that aren't necessarily kosher all of the time. So did Trump. He said, grab her by the pussy. I don't care. And neither should any conservative. These people who are crying and complaining and whining their eyes out with this false virtue, the worst thing about it, in my experience, is that these people are often the most dirty of them all. As if they're not jerking off the porn at night, as if they're fucking perfect people. The whole thing is a setup and it's a lie. And they need to be more mature. I have been investigated for the last 4 years by 3 different federal agencies. If I had done anything wrong, I'd be in jail. If I had done anything embarrassing to me or anything that was morally reprehensible, it would have been leaked by now. What have they found? 10 years ago, I made a joke on the internet. If that's the reason you think I can't help you keep your children safe from being castrated, then you're a fool.
This has backfired. And it's backfired in your case. It's backfired in Brazil. It's backfiring in France. It's backfiring wherever they're trying these tactics. And you can see the backfire here. This is the hardest image that has ever gone, ever, Andrew. They made him they gave him a rap cover. They gave him a rap album, is what they did. All you need to do is add a parental advisory sticker to the corner of that, and you have the banger of the summer.
Absolutely. I'm a little bit jealous. I mean, I had a couple good ones, but of course I'm happy to lose to Trump. He's the OG, so it's no problem.
Can you talk through this backfire? Many, including some people who served in his administration who were on the stream before you, and also including Trump's legal advisors, have said that he wouldn't have had that this made his case so strong in 2024, that perhaps these are the reason that he won in 2024. So the backfire has been utterly spectacular here. Maybe you can, and you've experienced it yourself, quite frankly. Can you dissect why? Why has the backfire happened, and why has it been so profound?
Yeah, so this is a double-edged sword. There's good and bad. It backfires in the high-profile cases where you have a man who's prepared to suffer enough to beat them and stand up and not show cowardice. Because Trump could have easily backed down or showed weakness and destroyed his name, as could I. That's what they wanted me to do when they threw me in a Romanian dungeon, was to destroy my own brand by showing weakness, because they didn't think I could handle Romanian solitary confinement, and they got proved wrong. So in certain scenarios where you have exceptional men who are prepared to do the right thing, it backfires. However, I think the truly heinous thing about this scenario is that this isn't just happening to high-profile men. Unfortunately, our kangaroo courts are also locking up a whole bunch of good, honest men who do not have the profile and perhaps do not have the mental strength to resist these things, to lose their job, to lose their wife, to lose their house, to lose everything, to lose years of their life, to not see their children, to be falsely accused. I would argue a lot of the J6ers are in exactly that scenario. And the most disgusting thing about this is not that it backfires on men like Trump, backfires on men like me. The actual truly heinous thing is that it doesn't backfire on all the forgotten men we cannot name who are currently considering suicide inside of prison cells right now. And that's why this must end and must change immediately. It's disgusting. Trump's victory saved the Western world. I don't think anybody actually understands that if Trump had lost, it would be over. It would be done. You may as well learn Chinese or Russian because it's finished. And now we have 4 years to truly mop up and clean this mess before they all come back. David Hogg has managed to put his dildo down long enough to end up DNC chair. So these little clowns are coming back. They're not going anywhere. And I only pray that Republicans can grow a backbone, stop crying their eyes out over old videos I made, and understand sometimes you have to be a bad guy to do the right thing, like Batman. And we need to clean the swamp, lock these people up, teach them all a lesson, because they're going to resurge. And when they do, they will not have mercy.
This was it's amazing shout out, because it's a clip that we often play. I'm not sure we have it ready, but President Trump looks at a little kid when he's running for president and goes, "I'm Batman." It's incredible. Right before he takes off in his private helicopter. It is what people want right now. President Trump certainly wasn't perfect when he entered. And that's actually what people want. They want a brawler and a bare knuckle fighter, because we are fighting evil people, and evil doesn't rest.
That's right. So this is the thing I have to make clear, because arguing with the liberals is absolutely fine. But when the conservatives cry their eyes out over me, 10 years ago, you said women couldn't drive. I'll say it again right now. I don't like women driving cars. I'd rather drive it myself. You can cry your eyes out all you want. I'm a professional fighter, and we're in a professional fight. This is what I do. If you're going to cry your eyes out over these stupid little things, realizing that we're arguing and combating people who literally want to make you a slave, who want to take your children from you, who want to inject you with poison, and you're going to cry your eyes out over a joke 10 years ago, then you're not in the fight. You're not in the battle. You're a traitor. You need to understand there are bigger things than sitting around being offended by everything. We have a war to win, and war is ugly. And this is the reality. And the reason Batman is such a good analogy is because people don't like Batman. Batman's the bad guy who beats the bad guys. Even the police want to get Batman. That's who Batman is. And we need Batman now. All the time for crying our eyes out is over. Because when they come back, and I truly believe these liberals will regain power at some time in the future, when they come back, they will be merciless. We saw it with J6. It's going to be worse than ever. So we need to win while we can. Yes.
Can we just go to sound on this for just a second? Just have to play it. Just because you gave me, I wasn't planning on this, Andrew, but because you gave me the opportunity, we have to.
Yes. Mr. Trump.
Yes.
Are you Batman?
I am Batman.
Okay. Andrew, maybe some people haven't kept up with the news. We certainly have on our program, but kept up with the news that your file is empty. Maybe they just heard the slanderous headlines about you 2 years ago, and that your file is empty, and that now the Romanian courts have effectively done what they've done here in the American courts, which is thrown out, atomize, and dissolve every charge against Donald Trump because it was political. But I want to perhaps give you an opportunity here to just give us an update as to where this case stands, if there is a case even standing anymore.
The Romanian judicial system is a mess. and it's extremely complicated. So let me make this as simple as possible. 3 years ago, I was arrested and a criminal file was put together. This was instigated by the UK Foreign Office, deliberately telling the Romanians that I am causing problems online and causing problems in their school and to get rid of me. They falsified a case and put me in jail for 4 months. I sat in a Romanian prison, which is the worst prison in Europe, amongst cockroaches for 4 months. I left my house and was on house arrest for 7 months. After that, I was released in freedom, but I must remain inside of Romania. Then I started to win the first case. I started to win by having a lot of the evidence thrown out because the evidence was gathered illegally. Illegal wiretaps, illegal surveillance, false translations, fake witnesses that don't even exist. The whole case was grade A Africa level corruption. I started to win inside of their own kangaroo courts. They then attacked me with a second case. I was arrested again in July of last year. The judge refused to put me in jail. I was only held for 48 hours and then released. As it stands now, a judge has ruled that 100% of the evidence gathered against me is illegal. So I have a criminal file which is open. It is keeping me currently travel banned, but it is empty because the judge has said every single piece of evidence is illegal. So here I stand inside of Romania, this insanely bureaucratic second world country with a criminal file restricting my flight that has nothing in it. Welcome to lawfare. And anyone who thinks J6 was domestic is once again childish. Let me tell you something how J6 worked. If you were too big of a voice online and you were not inside of America, the DOJ rubbed its hands together like an evil villain. They rubbed their hands together and thought, this idiot lives in Romania. He enjoys the mountainside and he enjoys looking at Dracula's castle. Well, we want to get rid of him. And instead of having to damage the reputation of our own judicial system, we can now damage the reputation of Romania's system, which had no reputation in the first place. The DOJ and the UK Foreign Office sends one letter to Romania and said, get rid of this guy. And they get the benefit of someone else doing their dirty work. That's what happened. That's the reason I got picked up and attacked. That's the only reason any of it happened. There was nothing to arrest me for. They made it up. And then what they did is get a bunch of Twitter accounts, because they're the deep state, garbage, to find old jokes I made 10 years ago and try and conflate me saying women can't drive or talking about ex-girlfriends with some form of constant abuse garbage and tweet out bullshit. And the stupid conservatives sit there and go, oh, well, I have a white picket fence and I go to church. Andrew must be bad. If I was guilty of 1% of anything, I'd be in jail. Because I've been fighting the hardest possible criminal cases you can fight. Look what Trump went through in America. You should try Romanian court. You should try it with a Romanian judge. You should try Romanian jail. The fact that I am on this live stream shows I am squeaky clean. No drugs, no steroids. I don't drink. Yes, I've had girlfriends in my life. Sorry, you're going to have to get over it. That's not a crime. This is all garbage. And the fact that America could use these other countries to do their dirty work was their wet dream come true, because that's exactly what happened to me. The American embassy refused to help me. There was a case in Romania where an American man stabbed 2 Romanian men. Within 48 hours, this was a few years ago, within 48 hours, he was out of the hole and on a plane to America. I sat in solitary for 4 months while the embassy ignored me because they told them to do it.
We'd like to say it's unbelievable, but our current president just spoke in a court sentencing where he was still gagged by the judge. This is obviously, there's horrors untold happening in Romania. The fact that a president-elect in 10 days is currently gagged by a New York City judge for something that should have been a misdemeanor beyond the statute of limitations, and Trump can't even speak up for himself inside of this court. He just said so live. He's like, I can't talk about this because you'll put me in prison. And the judge threatened to put him in prison for his own free speech here in America, and nobody had any problem with it, and at least on the left. And they were okay with that. They celebrated it. I guess it's not unbelievable. I guess it is the time that we live in, and it's important to be honest about the nature of evil.
We need to stop giving these people credit, because unfortunately, us logical actors on the right give the left a lot of credit. And what we do is we say, oh, they're stupid. Oh, they're dumb. No, stop giving these people an out. Stop giving them credit. They are evil. These people are evil. They do not care about you. They will lie, cheat, steal. They'll abuse the system. They'll murder you. They'll murder your kids. They are evil. Stop calling them dumb, because that is giving them far too much credit and giving them an excuse. They're not stupid. They are evil.
So here is how President Trump has begun fighting back. He got a $15 million payment, ABC News. He sued for defamation and he won. Do you plan on doing this, Andrew?
Oh, yes. I have to be very careful what I say, but I would love everybody to please follow my lawyer on Twitter. His name is Joe McBride. He's a fantastic guy out of New York. He's defended a lot of J6ers as well. Joe McBride. He knows exactly the lines of what can be said in terms of my current defamation suit against one of the girls who has tried to help the Romanian state put me in jail. Her legal defense is also funded by a liberal NGO, which is very interesting. It's almost like the deep state was behind my whole attack from head to toe. But please follow Joe McBride. He knows exactly what to say. And it is my intention to clear my name, because we have to be grown-ups here. I'm an adult, full-grown, professional fighting male athlete. Have I had girlfriends? Yes. Does that make me a criminal? No. This whole moral grandstanding garbage, because it's absolutely insane how they can convince people on our own side to turn on the people who are fighting for them and defending our free rights and our liberties. So please, I'm suing one of the women in Florida who lied about me. She knows she lied. She lied about 7 men, saying that 7 different men had raped her throughout her life. One of them men, unfortunately, committed suicide. This woman is evil. She's put lots of men in jail, and she's being defended by liberal NGOs because she was recruited to try and destroy my life. So please follow Joe McBride, and he'll tell you the whole story.
We have, before we move on to the United Kingdom and your new political party, before we move off this topic, we have a clip that I don't normally do this, but I was profoundly affected by this clip of you outside of the Romanian courthouse. And the reason why is because I would very much like for conservatives and Republicans and freedom-minded people in my country to behave like this. This is how you should treat the press, actually. It's a master class in the facing off of those who will lie and slander against you, and will do so for profit, unless you get pushback very shortly here. Here we go.
Something? Huh? Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Tate Show. I wonder if you media ever feel insignificant standing out here wasting your time, considering that we are the media now, and X is the media now, and Elon rules the world. Nobody cares what anything is put on these channels. I don't know if anyone even watches them. I don't know who pays for this. You guys are all here. You got to feed your families. You're going home. You got to pay the heating bill. Nobody gives a shit what any of you guys post at all, because all you've ever done since the beginning of our case, in fact, since the beginning of way back from before COVID, is lie, 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 lie. All you do is lie. Everyone knows you're liars. Nobody cares anything. If he interrupts me again, my exclusive interview with all of you is over. Okay. This young little man might ruin it for everybody.
I'm not gonna do that.
It's okay. So, nobody gives a shit what the mainstream media says. We are the media now. We've taken control back. Donald Trump is going to annex Greenland and take Canada and take Mexico, take all of it. The American empire is back. We're done with this crap. Elon owns X. I get to tell the truth. All of your lies are being exposed. And I cannot wait for the disinfectant of sunlight to come down and exonerate my brother and I, because we have done nothing wrong since the beginning of this. And the media has done nothing but accuse us of being human traffickers over and over and over again, trying to damage our name knowing we're innocent. And here we are 3 years later with the case completely thrown out. Whole thing was bullshit from the beginning. In fact, I think the media owes me an apology. Does anyone here who has a good heart, who's done nothing but slander us from 3 years, feel like they should say the word sorry? Anybody? One guy's nodding his head. You're a good man, sir. You're a good man. We'll find out his name.
I accept your apology.
We're going to send you a Christmas present.
All right. How do you instill, because there are, off the top of my head, there are like 2,700 different conservatives who serve in office, who have been wrongfully slandered by the media, who cower in fear against the press, and who don't approach them like that. And this happens all the time in Congress, in the halls of Congress. And I used to work in the halls of Congress, who cower and are fearful about everything that's going to be printed. And I can name them right now. Members of Republican leadership who still are shaking like a leaf for any New York Times headline that could be printed about them that's naughty. How do you instill that these people are actually ghosts, and if you turn on the light, they disappear?
Absolutely. You nailed it. If you turn on the light, they disappear. It's extremely important that we rid this from our ranks. I don't even give these people the respect that the way they walk around with a badge as if that means something. They get no respect from me. I don't know if you saw my interview with the BBC when I first left jail, and Lucy Williams sat with me, and she tried in my own house, because I was on house arrest at the time, to grill me. And I made it very clear to her that nobody watches the BBC, and the only reason they are is because of me. I am the star, and nobody cares about you. You have no content unless I talk to you. And if you want to talk over me and disrespect me in my own house, you're going to be gone because you have no authority. You're not the police. You're not the FBI. You can't put me in jail. You're a clown who works for a liberal establishment who doesn't even have his own point of view. You're a puppet. So I don't know why anybody even respects these people. And it's very important now, especially that we have X. We treat the media as what it is. The media is the propaganda arm of the Matrix. It's the propaganda arm of the deep state. They have no interest in telling the truth ever. So I don't know why you're speaking to them like a logical actor. Every time I talk to them, I remind them of their absolute insignificance and do my best to try and sow division within their ranks. That video we just watched, at the end, I said, is anyone sorry? And one guy nodded his head and kind of did this because he knew that they'd been unfair to us. And I said I was going to buy him a present. I bought him a BMW yesterday. So now someone's going to go in a brand new BMW to the office and they're going to ask how he got it. And he's going to say, I got it by telling the truth about Tate. Because I'm going to make all these journalists start telling the truth because I have enough money to buy endless BMWs. So that's how I do it. I sow division. I tell them they're liars. I see who agrees with me, and I reward those who have any kind of semblance of honor.
So you would be in charge of the budget for the BBC were you to become the Prime Minister of England. I believe that's the goal. That's the setup here. I don't know if we can zoom out here and show the two British flag. We have two Union Jacks on the side of you. Talk me through this new party. Talk me through the thought process here. You say that a lot of your persecution, a lot of the prosecutorial evidence or push was from England. And this is definitely ruffling a lot of feathers. You're getting members of Congress to actually respond to you now. And that's quite fascinating. So the floor is yours, Andrew.
I'm prepared to be the person who's going to do the difficult things that need to be done. I don't believe there's anybody currently within the UK political establishment who's prepared to be a bad guy. If you enter politics to be liked, you're in the wrong job. And I don't care if you like me or not. I don't care if you hate me with all your guts. Your streets will be safer, the economy will be stronger, and your border will be secure. You can hate me all you want, but I will improve your life because I'm prepared to do whatever it takes. And I'm a person who is now immune to the Matrix's primary weapon, which is using the media machine to slander you with made-up terms. They want you to ignore basic pattern recognition, and if you don't, they're going to call you racist, misogynistic, homophobic, whatever it is. I've been called those things for 5 long years. The BBC has mentioned my name in a negative light every day for 5 years. I'm the Borg. I've adapted. Their phasers no longer affect me. I don't care if I am called these things. I care about getting the job done. And there's nobody else within the UK establishment who's currently prepared to do that. UK politics is not like American politics. I can run an MP in every single constituency for around 1.5 million. I probably spend that on lunch a month, so it doesn't matter to me. And I'll continue to try until I win. The youth is mine. These old people are dying. The country's in decline. And as people get more desperate and look for more and more radical choices, they're going to see my competency, which is on permanent display in nearly every single interview I do. They're going to want to give me a chance because they have nothing else to lose. So I will run for general election, and I truly believe on a long enough time frame, the chance of me becoming the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom is somewhere around 100%.
The Bruv Party, am I saying this correctly?
Correct. Bruv. Yes, Bruv, vote Bruv.
Bruv Party. I think we have actually the website for it right here, and we also have the X handle. Talk me through some of the restoring underlying values of British society that you're running on here.
Well, Britain no longer has a culture, right? We have to talk about this multiculturalism because it's one of the largest semantic tricks that currently is being inflicted upon populations. When they say multiculturalism, it's a semantic trick because they control the language. They always control the language. Guys, if you want to really fight the Matrix, you need to start understanding how language is controlled. When a terrorist kills someone, it's a brutal attack. When we kill people, it's a tactical strike. Do you understand? It's 2 dead bodies, but it's just a difference in language. So when they say multiculturalism, they try and make you understand that we have two cultures side by side with no conflict, no bleed, no infection of the other, no malice. Everything's perfect because it's multicultural. But this is not how it works. The reason Britain is falling apart is because England doesn't feel like England anymore. This is not about skin color. I'm half black, half white. It's not about skin color. It's about the fact that people are coming in who don't speak English, who don't respect British culture at all. And England no longer feels like England. If you have a glass of water and a glass of milk and you mix them together, you no longer have water or milk. It's not multicultural. It's a brand new culture of resentment, hate, and distrust. And this is why nobody wants to pay their taxes. Nobody looks after their neighbor. Everybody's trying to steal as much as possible. And most of the British millionaires are moving to Dubai. In fact, I don't know a single person with money who's still in England. Everybody is leaving. I think they lost 9,500 millionaires last year, the worst in Europe. It's an exodus of everybody with talent, an exodus of finance, and it's a brain drain. And it's time that everybody wakes up. So to restore the underlying values of the UK, I'm going to make England feel like England again. And as somebody who grew up in England, I know exactly how that feels. I know how it felt in 1997. That's what we're going back to. The British people who are watching this understand exactly what I'm saying. And I also know exactly how to fix the issues. I grew up in Luton. I grew up on a council estate, single parent household in the worst area of the country. I grew up around knife crime. I grew up around drug dealers. I had my house robbed. I was stabbed. I've had all these things happen to me. I know how to fix them. I'm not a squeaky clean person because you don't come out of my situation squeaky clean. Of course not. But I am a person who's lived through enough to know how to fix the issues. So for this reason, my primary objective once I become Prime Minister of the UK is very much like the broken windows policy. I'm going to bring back the cultural cohesion policy. I want people to feel like they belong there. I want people to feel like they love their neighbor. I want people to recognize their country. And to do that is actually very simple. We're going to clean up everything. We're going to get rid of the crime. I'm going to put plainclothes police officers all over London. If you attempt to rob one of them, they're going to use lethal force. I'm going to use the Royal Navy to destroy dinghies at the border. It's going to go back to being Great Britain. If you don't speak English, you shouldn't be there.
I think that zero trust society is the worst possible society to live in. It's what you're seeing right now in Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, you're seeing that these homes are being looted by criminal gangs that have come here over an open border. This is systematic. It is a military operation that's run by the cartels. These people have already lost everything, and now what little they have is being plundered. It is an anarcho-tyranny society, and it's the worst possible way to live. And so we want to...
It's you know, it's very important that we say here, and this kind of ties into the things I was saying earlier about all the Christians and the conservatives who cry their eyes out about me. We need to understand something. Your morality and your virtue and your endless empathy is going to get you destroyed. There are evil people who are conniving. There are evil people who are opportunistic. There are evil people who are psychopathic. There are sociopaths. There are people from war zones who grew up amongst violence. These people are now living amongst you. You can't sit around crying over words on Twitter anymore. You need to get your balls and get your backbone, because these people are coming and, like you said, looting houses in the middle of a wildfire. They will start a fire and burn down 100 houses to rob one. They don't care. And to sit around and be so suicidally empathetic, to be suicidally moral, and to sit and say, well, I'm a good person and he deserves a fair chance and we all deserve to help people, you're going to get destroyed. There becomes a bottom line. Morality is such a funny conversation. Is it moral to do the right thing by a criminal if that criminal then murders 10 more people? Understand how these Democrat-run cities don't yet understand it, and hopefully this wildfire will wake them up. Because the people who are invading the United States do not love America. They see it as a place they can extract value from. They see it as a whore they can rape. That's what they see it as. And they see every single person inside of it as the exact same thing. And unless we grow a backbone and start laying down the line and making it clear, if you don't love England, you shouldn't be there. If you don't love America, you shouldn't be there. You could be any skin color. You can be any religion. But you better love this place. You better love the place you're in. You want to come to our country, run your mouth, intend on robbing everybody you can, disrespect us, disrespect the natives, disrespect the law enforcement, and then we're going to sit there as conservatives like dumbasses and go, oh, well, it's free speech. These people will kill you. We need to lay lines. There has to be lines in the sand, because otherwise we are going to lose. I tell you, when I'm in charge of Great Britain, anybody who's disrespecting our flag, anybody is instantly and permanently deported. Anybody.
So those are the policies of the Bruv party. I guess you could call it. England first. Andrew, we have a special guest that is joining us right now. Somebody who noticed that you would be on our show and wanted to say hello. This is the attorney for President Trump, somebody who has been a fighter for the America First Party. Her name is Alina Habba, and she joins us live right now.
Hi.
Hello, Alina.
Hi.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. I'm a big fan.
Well, nice
Big
to meet
fan.
you. I'm a fan. You're the one saving Trump. You're doing more important work than me.
America, not just Trump. And I agree with everything you just said. And I think that your anger is the same that President Trump has for our country. And the time is now for us to stop being wimps. I think that's exactly the right sentiment. And I also have to say that I sympathize with you because I think you go through a lot of the same show me the person, I'll find the crime that President Trump has gone through. And it's ironic that Benny has you on today because, as you know, President Trump just got sentenced in what literally will be one of the most tragic stories in American history and democracy and the justice system that I used to be proud of being a part of. But I agree with everything you say. And I have your back out here in the States. And when I saw that you were going to be on, I said to Benny, I have to meet Andrew Tate. There is literally only one person with the same amount of anger and fire, and that's probably me and President Trump. But it's because you love what's right. And you're being under siege, and I see it. And just keep fighting. I mean, I'm here for it. You know, there is no time anymore for weakness. We are being destroyed, and we need strong, powerful voices like yours. And yeah, I got your back over here.
Well, I tell you, if I ever get stateside, and I think I will sooner or later, if I ever need a lawyer, I'll be calling your phone. But you know, it's very important. It's very important, and this is something we need to understand because when you're animated or when you're angry, people call you hateful. And that's one of the semantic tricks I was discussing earlier that the left love to use. You're not hateful if you love something. They'll call you hateful of whatever. They'll call you hateful of immigrants, but it's not hateful of immigrants. It's love for your country. They will take your love and turn it into hate. This is a semantic trick. Do not let these people tell you you're a hateful person for loving something and wanting to stick up for something and being passionate about something. This is one of the tricks they use most often. And they say it to me all the time. You're so animated, you're so angry, you're full of hate. I said, actually, what I am is full of love and I'm full of principles and I'm prepared to suffer. And that's the difference.
Yeah, that is the difference. And I think that when I come outside of courtrooms, I'm obviously known for these things. And now I hope to be doing it outside the White House on the front lawn. And I'll tell you right now, that's a love. That's a love for our country and a love for what's right. And I am sick and tired of people trying to take it away from us and then pretending they love our country. And that is the damn truth. That is what this administration has done. I've had quite enough of it. And that is why I frankly chose to go into the White House. I'm so excited to have a say now to help America from inside. And I will tell you that I am going to do everything I can to make sure that what happened today never, ever happens again. It is a disgusting situation. Everybody's called me names for years, Andrew, just like you. It doesn't matter. You call me names, that means I'm effective. You tell me that I'm angry, it only means that I'm passionate. And if you're afraid of me, you will do all of those things. And they should be, because I truly, truly care for America first, just like President Trump. And I've been frankly honored with every hit piece that they hit me with. Isn't that right, Benny? You know, they hit me hard, but I just keep going. It doesn't affect me. If anything, makes me stronger. So I admire you. I admire what you're doing. I'm right there with you. And yeah, you're good. If you're in the States, I got your back.
Well, I cannot wait to come home. I have to deal with, you've seen it in New York, but I promise you the only place worse is Romania. You would not believe the stories that I will one day tell.
No, I've been watching, and it's very clear what the problem is. You have a strong voice. You have a lot of followers. You are much like President Trump in that way. You have influence. And when people have influence, they have to fight harder. And unfortunately, you are a victim of that. I see it. That doesn't make you a victim. You're a strong person, but they'll hit you as hard as they possibly can because of that. And it's a disgrace what they're doing. Obviously I don't know the facts of your case, but I know that it probably wouldn't be happening if you were not yourself. And that's very similar to my client. And just,
well, here's something I love to say. And I said it in Romanian court, but I don't think the judge even spoke English, which shows how crazy my entire case is. But I said your ability to speak freely is directly correlated with your irrelevance. And if you're large enough and too many people listen, your ability to speak freely quickly disappears. And they may not charge you with breaking a speech crime in America. In Europe, they certainly will. They'll make it very clear why they're getting you, but they'll get you for something else.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I don't doubt that down the road, if we don't fix this problem, I'm on that chopping block. I think that that's an un-American and undemocratic, frankly, thing to do. That's third world stuff. My parents fled Baghdad. That's why they fled. I'm not going to allow my country or any place to become that as long as I have a say. And I can tell you that's top of mind for me. You know, we're going into DC. I'm moving this week, getting excited, but I'll never forget what we went through for the last 3.5 years with President Trump. And it's time to fix it. It's enough talk. And like you said, enough tweeting, enough media. It's time to get to work. So
can't wait.
Alina, very quickly here, because President Trump said it, and we talked about it earlier with Andrew, Donald Trump is currently gagged by Juan Merchan and wasn't allowed to even speak freely in his own defense at his sentencing. Right. What's the next steps, as you've been a legal counselor to Donald Trump for the better part of the last 3 years, and you'll be joining him in the White House? What is the strategy here moving forward to make sure that no American ever has to put up with this ever again?
Yeah. So this is the beauty of me being in the West Wing, is that I can help with many different elements, because I think it's a part of everything. I think it's the DOJ. I think it's the Attorney General. It's the FBI. It's the CIA. It's everybody that does anything wrong, that coordinates with an administration to hurt a political party. It cannot happen anymore. So if I were to go into the FBI, I wouldn't really be able to touch the AG. If I were able to go into the AG's office, and I love Pam and I love Cash, I would only be siloed in that, where I'm excited to actually be able to look into all of it, coordinate, and make sure everyone is cooperating from right in the West Wing. And that's what needs to happen, because if we don't have that, then everybody's marching to their own orders, their own drums. And I'm not going to see that happen once again. You know, we saw people from the DOJ come in and sit in state court to go after President Trump. We saw the FBI going after moms because they care about their children's well-being in schools. You know, all of that doesn't just come from Merrick Garland. It comes from the administration. It comes from the top, and that is the President of the United States. So the president that I'm working for, I can tell you, after what they did today, after what they've done to him for years, is going to ensure that 0 Americans will ever have this happen to him. And I will make sure of it with him. And I can tell you that I want to thank Judge Merchan and DA Bragg and all of these people, the people that attack, the people that are attacking Andrew Tate. It's the same thing. All you're doing is making us stronger. And if there was any question of that, look at the polls. Look at what he did. Every swing state. And we fought hard. But we fought hard for people to understand the truth. And when we spoke to it, they saw it. They saw the relentless attacks. It's like Andrew, relentless attacks. He goes into a court, they don't speak English. I go into a court, I'm told I can't speak as an attorney. I'm not even the defendant. And this is all going to stop, I can assure you, because God forbid we leave. We can't have this happen again in 4 years. It's not going to happen while we're there, because we don't do that. President Trump could have put Hillary Clinton away. We know that. And he didn't. And that's just because it's not the right thing to do. But I will tell you, they crossed that line. And now it's time to look into what actually happened, but more importantly, put in some policy, some regulations that nobody can ever put or fund. The Soroses of the world cannot fund political opponents through AGs and DAs. I will not leave until I'm sure that that is taken care of. I can assure you.
You know, this is so important, because I don't think many people understand that if America falls, there is nowhere else to go. I'm over here in Romania, which is NATO sphere. It's an American vassal state, but it's close to Moldova. It's close to Russia. It's very close to Ukraine. This is currently actually the most strategic country in the world for the Ukraine war, which is why they just overthrew their own election, because an anti-war guy won. So they threw the election away. It's absolute chaos over here. But the point I'm making is, people say to me, well, you know, when all this case is over, why would you even stay in the West? Why don't you move to Russia or whatever? No, my home is America. And if America falls, you're not going to find more freedom anywhere else. You're never going to be free in Russia or China or Iran. Like, where do you think you're going to run? There's nowhere to go. You have to protect America and protect our home and keep it sovereign, free, and democratic. Because once you lose that, there is literally nowhere else on the planet you're going to have a semblance of it. And you're going to find yourself very quickly dealing with courts, which are even worse than the ones we're dealing with in the West currently. So this is a fight for not only our way of life, this is a fight for our future, a fight for our children to even have a country they can be proud of. This is the most important thing ever. And when I speak to men and they say, I'm not really political, I often just look at them and say, you don't care about your future? You don't care about your country? You don't care about the taxes you pay? We all need to be political, and we all need to get serious, and we have to win. We have to win.
Yeah.
Maybe a quick closing question for the both of you, given the fact that you're both young and both very, very involved in politics in the largest and extreme possible extent. A message to young people about their nation, because I do think there is a bit of apathy. Perhaps the fever is being broken right now. A lot of young people voted for Trump, and very much Gen Z, millennials delivered for President Trump in 2024. Yet there does seem to be quite a bit of apathy, and I think that the enemy seizes on that apathy and then is able to take your freedoms if you actually don't care or fight for them. And perhaps a message about what got you active and involved, and why young people should actually care about protecting women, about protecting their sovereignty, and about protecting their rights.
I would just say, stop being wimps. Stop being wimps. We've raised wimps. My children, I have no tolerance for wimps. I have no tolerance. Not everybody gets a trophy. And we've created this very weak society where people were afraid to wear MAGA hats. People were afraid to, people come up to me and they tell me, oh, I'm so excited that I can wear my MAGA hat now. And I look at them and I go, why couldn't you wear it before?
Yes.
So you want me to say, oh, thank you for wearing it now? No, why weren't you wearing it before? 3.5 years ago, when it wasn't cool to represent President Trump or stand outside and scream for him, that's when I stood up. So stop being weak. You have an opinion. Everyone has an opinion. It's just about, in my opinion, weakness. So weak people, the cream always rises to the top, but you better have a backbone. And I think unfortunately, we've raised some very weak individuals, and that has to change with parenting and supporting people with different opinions. I'm all for getting in an argument with somebody. You have to be able to do that. God knows Andrew is.
We know.
I'll leave it to him.
Been around.
Yeah, fight. It's okay to fight. It's okay.
Yeah. And I think also that's very important. A lot of the weak people, or a lot of the people who say they're not interested in politics, I think they feel that if they're not interested or they're not involved, they're avoiding this battle, and they don't understand that this battle is for all of us. And you have a choice especially as a man. You can stand up and fight your enemy, or you can hide in the sand. But if the enemy wins, they're going to kill you just the same. You can die in glorious battle, and perhaps you'll die first. Or you can die 10 minutes later when they finally get through the castle walls and find you quivering in a corner like a little baby. But either way, you're going to die. So I think the best thing you can do is try your best to resist enslavement, try your best to fight, even if it makes your life a little bit harder. Even if you do die first, at least you get to die like a man with honor. So I was never afraid of them. I'm not afraid of jail. I'm not afraid of what they do to me. I'm not afraid of any of it, because I know that I'll go down swinging. What I would be afraid of is shutting up, hiding in my room, trying not to do anything controversial, allowing these demons to win, and then getting an extra few years of life doing nothing consequential before I'm eventually eradicated anyway.
Alina, I can't let you go without asking a question about the Obama conversation. Speaking of not being afraid of jail, President Trump facing down Barack Obama yesterday, and not only causing Obama to laugh, but the two of them really getting on. Do you have any insights into what happened yesterday? And what does this mean for Trump's next term? It seems like the bridges are being built, and they're very strong.
Hi, I'm Alina Habba. I'm President Trump's attorney and counselor to the president. If I answered that question, I'd be silly, but I will tell you this. President Trump is smart. He is a businessman. That is why our country was run so well. In business, if you cower, if you don't look the person in the eye that is trying to steal your business, you lost it. So I think that says it all. That is what was going down. President Trump won. They tried everything they could, and he won. And I would be worried. I don't see why he wouldn't be talking to President Trump. But if you think President Trump's afraid of him, maybe you haven't been watching as an American TV in every courtroom, or I wouldn't be famous. But he is not fearful. It's like what Andrew's saying. We're just not fearful people, and you can't be. And in that moment, look, he's the man about to be the 47th president of the United States. And, in my opinion, I think Obama's been running the show since the day he walked in. His people never left. He's a puppeteer. And I think it's the American people spoke very loudly. We're done with your show. We're closing the curtain. And, I'd buckle up.
I'd buckle up. I mean, we can only speculate as to what joke President Trump told that would cause Barack Obama to actually belly laugh here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Nervous laughter is a real thing, Kenny.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we certainly know. We've been the subject of plenty of it. The two of you fight, and it's amazing. The both of you have been on the courthouse steps, fighting for your clients, fighting for yourselves, and fighting for freedom in this world. It's the most honorable thing you can possibly do. And they did want everyone to fold and to cry mascara down the sides of their faces and to whimper and to ask for forgiveness. And some people did, to their great shame, eternal shame. But the two of you didn't. And we really respect that. And so
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Godspeed to the both of you. And we hope to do this again soon. This has been really fun.
Thanks for letting me crash your party.
That's right. You'll have the podium next time, Alina.
No, I don't need it. I'm good here.
Alina Habba and Andrew Tate, everyone. Godspeed.
Thank you.
Incredible. Sometimes you just don't. Sometimes you just sit back and you say the universe is playing out before you, and there are forces at hand that just allow things to happen. You can just do things, you know? You can just do things. And there is, and I think I'll say this as the anchor of this program, and the mouthpiece for the visionary team that works here, is it is our job to not protect or shield you, cower or coddle or lie to you, because that's a form of lying. That keeping people from you because they might be naughty, right? Try not to use the inflection act. Naughty. That's not our job, actually. If that were the case, we would have never taken President Trump's press conferences, any of them. Because every minute someone's getting offended by something. That's not what free speech is about. Actually, free speech is about your right to speak for yourself. And free speech is actually about the speech you disagree with. It's not about the speech that you agree with. It's the purpose. And if we don't practice free speech by platforming a wide variety of opinions, like, for instance, John Fetterman wandering down with his voice box to Mar-a-Lago to go chill with Trump. Dude, that's going to happen. Is it happened, or is it going to happen today? Here's the article, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think this is? What do you think Tulsi Gabbard was? What do you think RFK was? You think people agreed with everything RFK has ever said? I certainly don't. You'll never agree with somebody 100% of the time. And so we're going to never apologize, ever. I would like to apologize to absolutely no one for being a beacon and a platform that embraces that free speech. I think it's actually how you build coalitions, and it's how you win. And there's one side that wishes to lock down and clamp down, like our own president, who couldn't even defend himself today. You heard it in Donald Trump's defense when he spoke to the court. I'm under gag order, so I actually can't talk about this right now. That's one side. We're the other side. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we stand for. We think that's how we save this place, by building bridges. We are huge fans of Tulsi Gabbard and RFK. They've been on the show. We're gonna continue to support them. And in the same sphere, we're okay with working. Like, we're probably gonna platform John. I mean, like, if a Democrat's willing to side with us and vote for Trump policies, then we'll have them on to have that conversation. You'd be amazed at how many Democrats are actually reaching out to us to, like, come on the program. You'd be amazed. I had a phone call last night that will blow your mind. Blow your mind. Who do we have? Rod Blagojevich during the DNC. Fascinating interview, actually. What's the point? The point is that you don't win by isolating everyone and cowering and doing purity tests and having moral snobbery, virtue signaling. That's not our side. You win by doing the opposite of that, which is finding common ground and working with people to create a coalition that is undefeatable. And that's what we actually want, because my motivation is my children. My motivation are my kids. I talk about this every single show, virtually. That's what I'm here for. I want to preserve a nation for them, and a moral generation actually preserves for their children, preserves the country, hopefully makes it better, actually. A moral generation would make a better nation. And for generation after generation after generation, Americans did that. Your great-great-grandparents, your great-great-great-grandparents, they created better generations. One after another, after another, after another. Up until now, where things are beginning to tip. And do we actually have it better than our grandparents did? It's a real question, actually. It's a profound one. And I am telling you that on this program, we are going to fight to ensure that with certitude, on my dying bed, I can stare, hopefully, at my massive family, surrounded by my kids and great-grandkids, and know that I did damn well absolutely everything that I could to preserve this place and make it better. And to defend them. And that will be my legacy. And that will be it. And I will sip my tea, and I will be done. And I will be happy. And I will stare at my last sunset knowing that that was a life worth living. So, as this is our first week back, after our break, what a show. What a fun time. We just want to say, as you've obviously traveled with us through this wild ride, thank you. We want to say we deeply, deeply appreciate you. We couldn't do it without you. And we hope that you open-mindedness that we do in bringing on a wide variety of people to hear them out, to be respectful, to listen, and to allow us to save Western civilization. The way you do that is opening up ideas, not shutting them down. Ladies and gentlemen, we move now, very quickly, to our Ask Benny Anything segment. If you wish to be part of the Ask Benny Anything, please join our memberships. Please become a member. We have a bunch of new emojis that we've opened up for the chat. We hope that you use them. I'm not sure, guys. Were people using the Andrew Tate emoji? Looks like we have a Batman Donald Trump has been added. Elon Musk is Iron Man. Got it. All right. Just some of the many. Donald Trump with the Shiba Inu and Doge, lovingly known as Doge. Ladies and gentlemen, we do Ask Benny Anything every week, and trust me, we're going to expand this. We're going to do a series where it'll be you asking the questions for the people that we're interviewing. It's going to be very fun, so please sign up and join and support our program now. From Crystal Dobbins, have you ever been on the Joe Rogan podcast? I searched, but I couldn't find anything. I think this needs to be a thing. You should be on in 2025. ALX, make this a thing. Well, ALX, now you're getting orders from the chat. And this happens daily with the team here, with the crew here. Killer Klein gets orders. Jerry gets orders. The chat kind of runs this place, and so we freaking love the chat. Yes, I would love to go on the Joe Rogan podcast. To go on the Joe Rogan podcast, you kind of have to have an angle, right? So there's going to be a body of work that we're going to be doing, and then I'd love to pitch. We're tertiary to the Joe Rogan podcast. We know people that work with him and have been on, and so I have a body of work that I'd like to go and talk about. Matt Walsh is a good example of somebody who released his Am I Racist documentary. Boom, got right on the Joe Rogan podcast. So yes, love to go there, but also go there with some fun things to talk about. Juiced Griffin says, what about Port Trump in the Gulf of America? Big Trump statue. That's right. I would love that. I live right on the Gulf of America. I will personally donate for a giant Donald Trump. What do they have? Like the big statues? What do they used to have? Like in Atlantis or whatever? There used to be these two giant statues that created this big safe water port in ancient Greece, right? It's like the two swords crossing. There you go. I think this is out of like Lord of the Rings. But yeah, something like this with Donald Trump in it. Yes, totally. Sure. That. You can see it. Yeah, okay. The big statues opening up to the bay. Carolyn Wall says, why haven't we seen any drones since our lovely government went on vacation for the holiday? Yeah, that's a great point. Donald Trump said, I will show you the drones. I will show you what the drones were. We were planning on getting to this clip, but we had just too much news to talk about. But since we're here, why not? President Trump on the drones from yesterday. This is clip G in an answer to your question. Let's go.
a story that kind of disappeared very suddenly. Do you have any idea whatever happened to the drones?
What happened to drones?
Well, you had said that you thought the government knew what was happening with these drones over New Jersey. There were some by Bedminster.
I don't know. They're over Bedminster a lot, so I can imagine. I'm going to give you a report on drones about one day into the administration, because I think it's ridiculous that they're not telling you about what's going on with the drones. And it's not only with me. Glenn was telling me today that in Virginia they have drones all over the place too, and nobody's reporting it. I don't know why they're not. Do you want to say something about that?
Just one quick comment, which is we are home to the largest naval base in the world in Quantico, and we house a lot of the SEAL teams and have a huge national security infrastructure. And now for 2 years running, we have had drone incursion over secure airspace, and we still don't know why. And I think that's absolutely unacceptable. And I think President Trump and the new leadership coming in, I think, will work diligently to understand who's behind this and what we do in order to stop the digital surveillance of all of our secure infrastructure.
Is it dangerous? Well, I can tell you this. While we were dealing with a terrorist attack in New Orleans, we had drones being flown over our nuclear reactors in Louisiana. And we brought that attention to the FAA. We've been asking the FAA to give these states the ability to mitigate these drones, and it's sitting on some bureaucrat's desk. And that's real.
Nobody knows. They don't want to talk about it. Go ahead, Governor, you're going to say?
I was just going to say we have drones in Wyoming flying over our infrastructure as well. And it's incredibly frustrating that we not only have no way of knowing what it is, but nobody knows how to deal with them.
They don't want to talk about it, and nobody knows why. They don't want to talk about it. That could be us sending drones. I hope that's the case, us doing it and doing research, and maybe they don't want to talk about it from that standpoint. I hope it's not an enemy, but we're going to find out on the 21st, the day after. You have to give me a little time for the inauguration, but shortly thereafter, we'll give you a report on it. We'll tell you exactly what it is. They know, and it's very strange that they aren't talking about it.
Forgive me, ladies and gentlemen. It's called the Colossus of Rhodes. Is what I was looking for. It looks like this, and I don't know. Maybe this explains the drones. Who knows? Maybe these are the drones. Look at this. They got little flying like dragons everywhere. Maybe it's the Colossus of Rhodes. I don't know. Maybe it's something from Greek lore. I'm not sure. I can't wait. I can't wait for Donald Trump to just release. He goes. Did you hear in the clip? He goes, I don't know why they're not telling you about it. It's obvious what they're doing. Trump knows what they're doing. Trump gets the national security reports. Trump canceled a trip to New Jersey while these drones were flying for some interesting and mysterious reason. So we look forward to that. We look forward to this entire season, which is going to be wild and fast moving. Please subscribe to the channels. Make sure that you are locked in and ready. We will certainly be delivering for you. We will be live, rocking, and ready to go. And we will be fast, the fastest growing news stream in the entire internet is this stream right here, and it couldn't happen without you. And we just, from a profound sense, say thank you because we are humbled by it. We understand that we only went to community college, all right? All of us are very scrappy around here. There's nobody around here in the Ivy Leagues. It's all of us just doing it for love of the country and because we love you. And so that's why we keep fighting, ladies and gentlemen. What centers us every single day? Our scriptures of the day, our relationship with our Lord and Savior. Ladies and gentlemen, Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Very pertinent. What a show where you're listening to Donald Trump. You're listening to the voices of those who have been persecuted and thrown in prison, and mugshots and shot at, literally took bullets. What a show when you get to hear those voices and you get to see them come out the other side, actually, victorious through the fire. And the refining fire is actually how it works for all of us. All of us have this road to walk, and it's better to walk it together, and it's better to walk it with Christ, who strengthens us. It's actually the only way. Otherwise, you'll be incinerated. So, ladies and gentlemen, march with us. You can't defeat an army of happy warriors. Here at the Benny Show, that certainly is what we are. We want to say thank you. God bless you. Enjoy this weekend in this, the greatest country on earth. See ya.
Jimmy is as stiff as Michelle was when she first saw your dance moves.
And he's got the same expression on his face as he did back then.
At least we are getting some use out of your shovel-ready job scam. You really dug yourself a huge hole with all your bullshit.
Tate on Benny's stage, bringing that rage. Chat's on fire, comics running wild. Benny smirk, Tate's alpha profile. Hot takes blowing up, no dial. Viewers tuned in, click until they smile. Naysay whispers vanish in a blaze. Tweets and memes, everybody's amazed. Pulse of the net, driven by the haze. Take grip tight, striding on this phase.
The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings. And their dying legacy, media dillweeds. Soon will the Benny Show come to mind us all from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun, we sail for #1. Soon will the Benny Show come to mind us all from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun, we sail for #1. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest king.